from the Kingdom in Seattle, it's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Tonight, two of baseball's greatest sluggers as the Rangers and two-time home run king Juan Gonzalez take on the Mariners and current home run leader Ken Griffey Jr. It's the Sunday night game of the week. For Ken Griffey Jr., a week to remember. Last Sunday, Griffey homered for the second straight day, but a hyperextended knee put his status for the next day in doubt. But Monday, he was back in the lineup as the DH, and he homered again. The power display continued on Wednesday as Griffey connected for 2 home runs against the Royals. Versus Texas Friday, Griffey belted number 18. Last night, he got number 19. Griffey now with 7 homers in his last 8 games and an amazing 19 home runs for the year. It is a spectacularly beautiful day in Seattle, but in here, it's just like it always is. Tonight, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball goes indoors for the Rangers and the Mariners. Now, these are two of the so-called powers of the West, although nobody's playing well. Nobody's playing like a power, but they're the Mariners, just a half game out. A win tonight, they'll move into first. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller. Now, the Mariners have struggled, but in this series, they have played great. They have won 3 in a row from the suddenly struggling first-place Texas Rangers, including 2 with 10 home runs. Griffey, Tino Martinez, Reggie Jefferson, Torey Lovullo, Edgar Martinez. Then last night, Jay Buhner got him started. Then Tino Martinez, Eric Anthony, Luis Sojo with a grand slam, and finally, of course, Mr. Griffey. 10 home runs, 32 runs in the 2 games, including 19 on Friday. All of a sudden, the Mariners are playing like a first-place ball club. With me, Joe Morgan. And, Joe, when you think of the Mariners, you think of Griffey. And right now, he is putting on quite a show.
Well, John, I've been trying to think of someone to compare Griffey to, and the 2 names that keep popping up, Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. Like Mays and Mantle, he has no limitations on the field. He can do everything, and he's getting better every year. I still don't think he's reached his peak. We haven't seen the best of Ken Griffey Jr. yet.
All right. Now, when you think of the Texas Rangers, you also think of some very impressive talent. Guys like Jose Canseco, and he's back, and he's as good as ever, apparently. He's off to a great start. Will Clark, he's up among the batting leaders in the American League with his new team. And, of course, Juan Gonzalez, the impressive left fielder and the reigning home run champion in the American League 2 years running.
I think Juan Gonzalez is one of the most underrated superstars in baseball. Simply because he strikes out so much, he doesn't get the credit that he's due. He can match Ken Griffey Jr. in the batter's box. He can hit as many home runs. He can drive in as many runs. But the strikeouts, he'll have to cut down on them before he's considered in the same class.
All right. Really? With Mays and those guys?
No, Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, there is, of course, great talent on these 2 ball clubs, and yet they're playing so poorly. The problem is the pitching has been terrible.
Well, you blame it on the pitching if you want, but I think the defense has hurt them a lot as well. Both teams have not performed well defensively. If their defenses start to play better, I think their pitching will become a little better. But pitching is still going to be the key for them.
Yeah. All right. Tonight we'll see Roger Salkeld on the mound for the young Mariners. Bruce Hurst trying to make a comeback for the Rangers. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by MCI, sharing a vision called Network MCI. By Allied Signals Fram Filters. You can pay a little now or a lot later. And by 1994 Fleer baseball cards, a whole new ball game. From the Kingdom in Seattle, the Rangers and the Mariners, that's the Sunday night matchup at stake is first place, which the Rangers currently hold in the American League West. The Rangers hitting .289, second best only to the White Sox in the American League, and they are averaging nearly 6 runs per game. Only 2 teams have been better than that, and manager Kevin Kennedy is certainly well pleased with his offense, but it's the other side of the game that has given them problems. Here's his lineup for tonight. It'll be David Hulse, who's turning into a fine leadoff man. Jeff Fry is at second base. He's been riddled with injuries, but hitting well. Jose Canseco hitting over 300 with 39 RBIs. Then Will Clark, who is hitting 379, 38 RBIs. Juan Gonzalez with 37 RBIs, although he's been struggling. Rusty Greer up for the minor leagues, hitting 6. Dean Palmer, the slugger, 33 homers last year at third. Ivan Rodriguez, he had the great arm, the catcher, and Manuel Lee is the shortstop, batting ninth. The Seattle Mariners have taken the field, and there's the young right-hander, Roger Salkeld. Salkeld making his 5th start of the year. They have high hopes for this fellow.
Well, John, they had high hopes for him when they drafted him, the 3rd player picked in the country a couple of years ago. He had rotator cuff surgery. Now he's back. He had a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Now he throws 80 to 90, and he also needs to get his slider and his curveball over.
Number 9, Luis Soto.
We talked about when comparing Ken Griffey Jr. to Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. He's also a great center fielder like Willie Mays and Mantle. He has already won 4 Gold Gloves, and he's probably going to play another 15 years or so. So we don't know how many Gold Gloves he's going to win. He is, in my opinion, the best young defensive player I have ever seen.
Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle?
Yes, I have to go out on a limb, John, and maybe 10 years from now when we're broadcasting the game, we'll be able to talk about that.
Yeah. There's Rich Amaral in left field tonight. Now, he has been the second baseman for the Mariners these last 2 years. He lost the job just a few days ago this year after some very poor defensive work over there. So now tonight they'll try him in left field. 10 errors at second base, and apparently Lou Pinella's looked at that and said, hey, this guy as a second baseman might make a pretty good left fielder.
That'll also hurt your pitching staff, as we were talking about earlier. This is his first start in left field. He filled in last night. He came in as a defensive replacement in the game, but this is his first start there. Eric Anthony has been starting in left field, but because Bruce Hurst is on the mound tonight, they're giving Amaral a shot.
There's Eric Anthony, who gets the night off against the left-handers. Reggie Jefferson, who'd been doing extraordinarily well on a platoon basis, the former Cleveland Indian first baseman, just went on the disabled list. So Salkeld to Hulse, and we are underway. First pitch of the game, 85 miles an hour. Now you see Hulse, 289, a 347 on base average, and Hulse has 13 stolen bases already. Shallow left field, looking up into the cream-colored dome, and the shortstop, Fermin, takes it. And there is one away. This outfield is not an easy place for a second baseman to show that he can play the outfield. I mean, it is easy to lose a pop fly or any kind of a fly ball because the ball is about the same color as that dome up there.
And that's the problem you have not only here but in Minnesota. At night when you're outside, of course, you're against the dark sky, the black sky, so it's easy to pick the ball up.
Once the umpire rubs that Delaware River mud on the ball and that dome look awfully similar.
Which part of Delaware?
The part where they have the mud. Jeff Fry takes a strike. 87 miles an hour that last pitch. We'll try and keep an eye on how hard Salkeld is throwing because he used to throw it in the upper 90s. On the outside with another 87-mile-an-hour fastball. 0-2 the count.
Now he is concerned more with location, and that was a perfect location there. That was perfect location on the fastball.
That one is high in the air. Griffey in center field. You know what I'd like for you to do, Joe, next time you see Ken?
Yes.
Tell him that you think it'd be better if he started using a basket catch. You know what I'm
saying? If he's going to be like Willie, you might as well go all the way, huh?
Be like Willie.
If you're going to hit like him, you might as well play the outfield the same way.
Hey, Willie, I mean, nowadays you call guys, well, not you personally, but...
No, not me.
Dick Vitale calls guys primetime players, right?
Oh, okay.
I mean, guys who can really turn it on big time when it's real important, or in front of the big crowds or whatever. And Willie Mays was one of those kind of players.
Yes.
Willie not only was a great player, but he played with some style. He was an entertaining player to watch. Here is Canseco, and he takes high for ball one. Canseco has been doing a little bit of everything for the Rangers this year. He's hitting with power again. He's hitting for a strong batting average, driving in lots of runs. He's taking lots of walks. He's 34 walks already. And he also has 11 stolen bases. We're starting to see the Canseco that we saw back in 87, 88, 89 when he was really at his very best with the Oakland Athletics.
When he also stole 40 bases, hit 40 home runs. I don't think he'll ever be able to match that as far as the stolen bases is concerned. He can hit 40 home runs again.
That'll be a foul out of play into the upper deck. The count 2-1 to Canseco. If he gets aboard, Will Clark would try and drive him in. The infield for the Mariners really playing Canseco to pull the ball, as you might expect. The second baseman is almost playing right up the middle. There you get a look at the alignment. There's Griffey out there in center field, way over into left center. And Buhner, the right fielder, way over into right center. 2 down, nobody out. Salkeld with a 2-1 count to Canseco. Ooh. Okay, Joe, where was that one?
Well, first of all, that pitch was the first sinker that he has thrown. He has been throwing pretty straight fastball. Watch this ball tail back off the inside corner. And that's why it was called a ball. Ball tailed off at the last second. At least according to Terry Kraft.
3-1 to Canseco. Pop foul again.
You see, that's the fastball he's been throwing, the one that's kind of riding. And then the one that missed inside was the one he turned over.
Roger Salkeld from Burbank, California. And he had to have some shoulder reconstruction surgery. Missed all of 1992 and much of last year, but he came back much more quickly than they ever envisioned. And he said, in a way, it was a blessing for him because when he came back, he didn't have the heat. He had to learn how to pitch. Curveball struck him out looking. Mariners coming up. Griffey will be coming up third against Bruce Hurst. Griffey, who leads the planet in home runs, center field. Jay Buhner, who's also up to a great start in right field. Edgar Martinez, batting champion 2 years ago, third base. Mike Blowers at first. Keith Mitchell, the designated hitter, batting seventh. Felix Fermin at short. And Bill Hasselman is hitting ninth. He's the catcher. And on the mound for the Rangers, the veteran left-hander Bruce Hurst, who at one time was among the best left-handers in the game, but right now coming back from some arm problems, and he is trying to get it together here. First pitch is a called strike. That was 82 miles an hour now. We're going to keep a close eye on that with Hurst, because the highest reading they got on him in his last start against Oakland Tuesday was 81.
And that was with the fast gun, right?
Yeah. And another 82-mile-an-hour fastball, strike 2. One of Hurst's problems, as he expressed it himself to us, is that so far there's not been enough of a difference between his fastball and his changeup. Curveball, nice knockdown by Palmer, and he just does get Amaral for one away. We asked what Bruce Hurst thinks he needs to be able to do to pitch effectively at the major league level. Bruce talked to us about it.
I'm not worried about what the radar gun says, but it's just life at the end of the fastball. I don't want it dying at the glove. I want to have a little something getting there, a little movement, a little tail, just a little something at the end of it. And if I can get that back and plus get a big enough difference between my fastball and my changeup to where it's not basically the same speed, then and my breaking ball, I need to find a little feel for that. I think I can still compete. You know, at least I'd like to give it a try.
And the competition, the going out, the testing of oneself, that seems to inspire Bruce Hurst. One strike out of Soho, and the pitch, the changeup off the outside, 1-1.
Well, one thing we can do, we can turn the radar gun off. He said he's not concerned about that.
But he is concerned about the difference between the fastball
and the changeup.
And the change. Now, that changeup was 77, and so was this one. After the fastballs have been up around 82.
Well, I really believe that he needs the big curveball. That was always a big trademark for Bruce Hurst, the big, slow curveball, and that made his fastball that much better.
2-1. High pop fly down the left field line. Gonzalez, the left fielder, coming. Look out, look out. He and Palmer collide. And Gonzalez and Palmer both seem to be hurting. Palmer is down. Gonzalez is limping. There's Gonzalez. Danny Wheat, the trainer, the manager. Kevin Kennedy coming out. Palmer is down on the ground, though. See him there.
Well, I think he got hit. Looks like he's got hit in the right side of his face.
Now Gonzalez is taking a seat. And Bruce Hurst himself has come out to assist.
Well, Palmer should be able to see Gonzalez. He's running straight at him. Well, he sees him too late, and Gonzalez's left elbow hits Palmer in the face. And watch Gonzalez sticks his left elbow out to catch the ball. And watch his face right there. He runs right into his elbow, and he goes down.
See, when Palmer goes down, he immediately, after hitting the ground, reaches his right hand up as if to hold the jaw area there. There, you see it.
That's a long way for a third baseman to go out chasing a pop-up, but I assume that Gonzalez didn't call it.
Had he heard him calling it, you would figure that he would have gotten out of there. One of the problems they have in this ballpark is because of the dome, if a guy takes his eye off a pop fly like that to see where he is or who's around him, then he's doomed. He's not going to be able to pick it back up again. You can never look away from the ball here and be able to pick it up again.
Well, Palmer is up.
Being assisted by Danny Wheat, the trainer. Now Gonzalez is the man who is still down. Now look at Gonzalez. Is he calling it?
Looks like he's saying, I got it. Right there, he's saying, I got it, I got it. At least he's saying something.
But Palmer didn't react to it at all. It was apparently not audible to Palmer.
Well, we talked about the teams not playing very good defense, both the Mariners and the Texas Rangers. Communication is really a big part of playing defense. Telling people where to throw the ball, what play to make, and calling off pop-ups, calling the other guy off, whether it's in foul territory or in fair territory.
What about Manuel Lee? He was a third man over there. Should he have started hollering for Palmer to get out of there?
Well, the problem is if Gonzalez is saying, I've got it, and Lee starts saying, you know, Juan, that will help if you have time. You usually only do that if the ball is straight up on the mound or in the infield where there's plenty of time to call it. I'm not so sure that Lee should have been involved in that play there. I think it was between Gonzalez and Palmer. And I clearly saw Gonzalez yelling, but that doesn't mean Palmer could hear him.
And of course, Lee himself was out there because he thought maybe he would have a play in the ball. So,
well, they both seem to be okay. They're going to remain in the game in any case.
Danny Wheat, the head trainer, and Ray Ramirez, there was the other trainer out there who worked specifically on Gonzalez. Now at third base, Kevin Kennedy not perhaps so sure about Dean Palmer. Palmer assuring him that he's fine, but Kennedy just seems to want to make doubly sure. Well, he'll go with Palmer in his assessment for now. Here comes Ken Griffey. Now, the record in Major League Baseball for most home runs by the end of May is 20. Mickey Mantle set that record the year he won the Triple Crown 38 years ago, 1956. However, remember, the season started later at that time than it does now. And through May the 31st, when Mantle had hit 20 home runs, the Yankees had played 41 games, which is exactly the number of games the Mariners have played right now. Griffey has 19 homers in 41 games. Mantle had 20 in 41. And the ball is low. Of course, the record, if we're just talking about records, is most home runs by the end of May. So Griffey's got an excellent shot to get that. But it also tells you that it is one of the great starts that any home run hitter has ever had. You have this many home runs this early. Curveball, a beauty. Called a strike, 1-1.
Ken Griffey Jr. is the reason, the left-handed hitter is the reason that I say Bruce Hurst needs his curveball. You can't throw left-handers fastballs and change-ups and expect to get them out. You have to have the curveball in order to keep the left-handed hitters off balance.
And there you use that fastball to go inside on Griffey. 81 miles an hour. Inside again to 76 miles an hour. 3-1. Now Griffey is hitting .342, 19 homers, 41 runs batted in. 3-1 the count. Change up. And it's ball 4. wondering, Joe, if Griffey might be seeing ball four and more now as time goes on.
Well, Bruce Hurst is a very smart pitcher, and I'm not sure he feels that he has the proper pitch repertoire right now to get Ken Griffey Jr. out consistently. Again, he needs to have the good sharp curveball and the good sinking fastball, the one that he was trying to throw on the inside part of the plate.
Here is Jay Buhner. Look at those numbers. 336 average, 9 home runs, 27 batted in, a foul ball into the batter's box. The Mariners, partly because they've hit 10 home runs in the last 2 games, which is a club record. The Mariners lead the major leagues in hitting home runs. They have hit 63 homers in their first 41 games. Now, Bruce Hurst has one of the most deceptive pickoff moves to first base of any left-handed pitcher in the game. He used to get a very high number of pickoffs every year. And Griffey, although he has great speed, is not a guy who steals a whole lot.
He's 3-0 as far as stolen bases concerned this year.
The changeup. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Buhner.
See, the changeup is more effective against right-handed hitters simply because they see your motion quicker and they have a tendency to jump at it. Left-handed hitters do not see the ball as quickly from a left-handed pitcher, so the changeup is not as effective against them.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 down, no score. And Griffey is back. I remember talking to Johnny Padres, now the pitching coach from the Phillies. He had one of the great changeups in the game. And he said, all of a sudden, my changeup looked just like my fastball. And that's when I had to retire. That one is pulled foul on the third base side. So it is a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes to Buhner. Griffey will have to go back to first. Sam Palazzo is the third base coach over there for the Mariners, the man who had to jump out of the way of that. There's Sam of Cumberland, Maryland, used to be with the Mets. Curveball in the dirt, knocked down by Rodriguez. Not many teams like to test Rodriguez. I mean, he's got probably the best throwing arm in the American League, if not all of baseball, of any catcher. And the Rangers, as a result of that, have been one of the toughest teams against which to steal. Look at that. 16 guys have tried to steal. Only 6 of them have made it this year. He's thrown out 63% of would-be base stealers. Make it full 3-2. Right now, he's having to act like a hockey goaltender back there.
That's another changeup that he holds on to a little too long, and it bounces in front of the plate. Good block there by Rodriguez as he keeps his entire body in front of it.
Griffey goes, and ball 4 to Buhner. So back-to-back walks for the Mariners, and that'll bring up Edgar Martinez. And he is just now starting to hit the ball with some authority.
Well, one of the problems Bruce Hurst has, is that he has to make perfect pitches to both Griffey and Buhner. That's the way he feels right now. And in trying to do that, he walked him because he fell behind and he did not want to come in with a fat pitch.
Edgar Martinez, 2 years ago, he was the batting champion in the American League. He hit .343. He's had injury problems ever since. Just now getting it back up to a high level. Broken bat down the left field line. That's going to be in there. Base hit. Here comes Griffey to score. Buhner will stop at second as Gonzalez gets it back. 1-0 Seattle. The 2 walks followed by the broken bat single.
Well, the reason that this ball is a base hit is because the pitch is up. I'm not sure it was whether it was a changeup or a fastball either, but in any case, the pitch was up, and he hit it off the end of the bat, and it's a base hit. See, that pitch is up. For a sinker ball pitcher, anything belt high and above is considered up. He breaks his bat, but he gets the job done by getting a single down the left field line. Gonzalez seems to be running okay after colliding with Palmer.
And that last pitch, by the way, Joe, 77 miles an hour. But again, was it a fastball or was it a changeup? It could be tough to tell with Hurst, with Bruce admittedly not yet up to full strength, or at least the strength he wants to be.
Well, let's hope that was a changeup. at 77 miles an hour, or else he is not going to be able to use his fastball very much at all in this ball game.
2 men on, 2 men out. There's Buhner at second base and Edgar Martinez at first base. What a difference he makes to this lineup when he's in there. And you get Griffey, Buhner, and Edgar all going hot at once. That is impressive. Well, that fastball in an 83, Joe.
Well, that tells you that the pitch before was a changeup.
Now, this guy, Mike Flowers, look at that, 200 batting average. Last year was a breakthrough year for him. He had 280 and hit 15 homers as a platoon-type player, and they were counting on him at the start of this year, and especially when Martinez got hurt on opening day. As the changeup too low, 1 ball, 1 strike to Flowers.
Well, he had very good motion on that changeup. The pitch before was a good fastball, and he followed that with a changeup. He had good motion. He just did not get it started in the strike zone. What he really wants to do is start this changeup in the strike zone and let it move down and out of the strike zone.
You see, Hurst, very effective for a long period of time there. There's the big curveball. Big slow curveball. Strike 2 call.
Anytime a pitcher has a big curveball like that and you get 2 strikes on the hitter has to protect against giving up on the pitch too quickly. And when he has to wait a little longer, that makes him more susceptible to the fastball inside. And that's why I really feel that the curveball is going to be the most important pitch for him to establish in this game.
To third. And Palmer over to Fry at second, forcing Edgar Martinez. So 1 run for the Mariners. Juan Gonzalez will follow Will Clark to the plate when we get back. Kel. That means he was going after Joe. Looks like there's a lot of wind blowing in here tonight. Well, Will Clark not up there very long. That's not the way it's been going for Will. He came in with a .379 batting average, 5 homers, 13 doubles, 38 batted in, 28 walks, a .475 on-base average. But 1 pitch, and he is gone here.
Well, Gonzalez was probably getting some attention to his leg, for his leg, so now he is a little late coming out into the on-deck circle. And that is why we're having the delay.
Went back into the clubhouse for some treatment, apparently. And then Will Clark swung at the first pitch. He didn't get much time to get that treatment. Juan Gonzalez. Now, he's been in a slump here the last few days. His batting average is down to .253. He had 6 home runs, 37 batted in. And Kevin Kennedy saying one of the things that Gonzalez had a problem with this year is that with this new huge contract that he signed, he's taking very seriously the role of being a guy to set an example in the ball club. He feels that at times he's been trying to do too much. He tried too hard. Gotten into some bad habits as a result. You see that only 3 hits in his last 35 at-bats. It got the average up there again. Now it's fallen into this slump. The curveball is up and in for ball 1. 1-0. The Mariners lead the Rangers. Gonzalez, of course, along with Ken Griffey and Dean Palmer, have struggled a bit because their new ballpark there in Arlington, Texas, is huge in left field.
Well, in talking to Willie Upshaw, who is the hitting instructor, he says that in one way that has really helped this ball club because they are now concentrating on hitting the ball back through the middle and going the other way, and it's keeping the big guys from pulling off. Although Gonzalez's strikeout total is still a lot more than they would like, he feels that Canseco and Gonzalez and Palmer have really adjusted to the ballpark.
Base hit.
It's a breaking ball that is up, and Gonzalez just goes out and gets it. It's just a hanging breaking ball, and it's a good location. It's away, but Gonzalez, very strong, just reaches out and smokes it into left field for a base hit.
1 out, 1 on, and here is Rusty Greer. Now, this guy went to that Arizona Fall League, which now has been in effect for the last 2 seasons, and was very impressive out there. Kevin Kennedy, the Rangers manager, saw him, and he was so impressed with this guy's style of play and what he could do out there that he brought him to spring training, and now went on to be McDowell went on the disabled list. Rusty Greer got the call, and he has done extremely well, hitting .409. 2-0 the count. One out, one on. We're in the second inning. 1-0. The Mariners lead the Rangers. The California Angels were beaten today by Kansas City down in Anaheim. Langston took the loss down there. So the Angels right now are in a virtual tie for second, a half game back of the Rangers. And if the Mariners win this ball game, they will take over first place in the division.
All of a sudden, Salkel is having a problem throwing strikes, but this is the first time he's been in a stretch in this ball game as well.
And that fastball is in for a strike, 3-1. By the way, Gonzalez, who just hit the single, has now gone 65 at-bats since his last home run. He claims that he doesn't care about the home runs or a home run title. Says,
well, it's easy for him to say. He's won two.
yeah. But he says he'll be happy if they win, and he can contribute in other ways.
Well, he said he'd be happy with 15 to 20 home runs in that ballpark. If he hits 15 or 20 in Texas, he's going to hit over 40 in total.
And a ball 4 to Greer. So the single for Gonzalez, followed by the walk to Greer. 2 men on with 1 man out, and now Dean Palmer is coming up.
Batting seventh, third baseman, number 16, Dean Palmer.
I talked to Lou Piniella today, and he was basically saying this is a power-hitting ball club that he has. He says it's not one that's going to do a lot of hitting and running and manufacturing the runs. Not going to steal a lot of bases. They're going to hit, you know, the ball out of the ballpark.
Now the Rangers, as you can see, have only hit 14 home runs at home so far this year, which with the number of home games they've played projects to about 68 home runs for the whole year. Now last year they hit 91 home runs at Arlington Stadium. Gonzalez has only 1 home run at home so far after 21 games. Last year he hit 24 home runs at Arlington Stadium. Now center field and right field, the ball seems to carry very well there in Texas. That's where most of the home runs have been hit in that ballpark. But to left field, there have only been 2 home runs hit in 21 games. And Canseco has not hit one of them. All of his home runs at home have been to center field or right field. Sammy Ellis, the pitching coach, has been to the mound. And Gonzalez gets his lead from second base here with Greer at first base. Here's Dean Palmer. And the breaking ball is down and away. Now Palmer was off to a real slow start. Then he went on the disabled list, just getting back, and now he started to hit some home runs. 4 homers, 14 batted, and he's had 97 at-bats. He had 33 home runs a year ago. And that spins in there for a strike, 1-1. Ivan Rodriguez is on deck. The Rangers, amazingly, are among the bottom teams in the league for hitting home runs. That's a foul right back to the screen. They led the majors in home runs last year, and now they're near the bottom of the American League for hitting home runs this year. 14 teams in the league, and they are 12th. And then again, they're averaging almost 6 runs a game. So, well, that's Kevin Kennedy's point is well taken.
Well, that's what Upshaw was saying. They're going the other way, even though they're not hitting a lot of home runs. They're producing runs, and their on-base average is up higher. I think that's one of the reasons they're producing more runs.
That slider misses. 2-2 to Palmer. If Palmer's up there, you'll see a lot of sliders away. He's a guy who strikes out an awful lot. Roger Salkel, the young right-hander, trying to get out of a jam here with 2 men on and only 1 man out. Curveball struck him out. Two men down. I said curveball. It might have been something else. Off-speed delivery anyway.
It was a curveball. It doesn't really break very well. It hung on the inner half of the plate, but Palmer swung over it. But it was a curveball.
So 2 out, 2 on, and here is Ivan Rodriguez hitting .282. 3 homers, 16 driven in for him. He too was off to a real slow start this year. The Rangers has started to heat up. So did he. And that curve is in there for a strike on 1-1. There's Gonzalez at second base. And Greer at first base. Was that last one a slider? Didn't have much break to it.
No, it doesn't have much break to it. The speed on the previous pitch is the reason I knew it was a curveball.
There's a fastball, and it misses. 90 miles an hour we got on that one. 1-1 the count.
Anytime you're using the radar gun, you're trying to determine how hard a pitcher is throwing. The pitch that's up will always register harder than the pitch that's in the strike zone.
And it's a ball. 2-1 the count. Manuel Lee is on deck. 1-0 Mariners here in the top of the second inning. Gonzalez with one out single, and then Rusty Greer followed with a walk. And that one will go foul on the right field side. Now the Rangers came into town, and they were riding a little bit of a hot streak, and they were ahead 4-0. They were still ahead in the late innings 4-3, and were just one strike away from winning the ball game. When all of a sudden there were 2 walks, and ultimately on a bases loaded walk, the winning run was forced in, and the Mariners won the ball game 5-4, and the Rangers haven't been the same ever since. Reach for and hit high in the air into left center. Griffey is there. That is the inning. That's it, Ken. 3 out. You're right. 2 left. We'll be back. Professor Morgan.
John, let's take a look at Ken Griffey's swing and also Juan Gonzalez. Ken Griffey, perfect hand position. Just off the back leg. That's where I like it. Perfect balance here. Let's watch this beautiful swing. That is a classic swing. Now look, he's still on balance. Beautiful balance. Gonzalez starts with his hands higher. He will drop them down a little bit. His head will move forward. His legs go forward. And that is one of the reasons that he has more problems. He's not quite as quiet as Ken Griffey Jr. More movement there causes you to get off sync a little more often. That's why I think he has more down periods where he has slumps, whereas you don't see Ken Griffey Jr. going 3 for 35 very often. But he gets the job done.
Griffey hit 45 homers last year. Gonzalez hit 46. And here is Keith Mitchell, nephew of Kevin Mitchell of the Cincinnati Reds. And Keith had a sensational spring and made this ball club, then went on the disabled list right after the start of the year. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to him. Keith Mitchell hitting 200. He's only had 5 at-bats. Just got brought up. And way out in front of that one, kind of poked it foul or cued it foul. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. He's hitting 7 in the order. He'll be followed by Fermin and Hasselman.
That's about as far away from the pitcher as you can get. Very deep in the batter's box, Keith Mitchell.
The back foot might be out of the batter's box.
And really, that may not be a place to stand against a guy that doesn't throw very hard. And a guy that's throwing change-ups and sinkers, you really want to be closer to the pitcher when he can't overpower you.
3-2 the count to him now.
Although there's one of the theories, the deeper you get in the batter's box, the longer you get to look at the pitch. That's one theory.
And he walked him. So Hurst, who started out ahead of Mitchell, had him all confused up there, loses him, and that's his 3rd walk already. Hurst, as you can see, none too pleased. That's not the way he's been getting it done. Bruce Hurst is 36 years of age, from St. George, Utah. He's been pitching professionally for 18 years. He came up with the Red Sox. And, of course, in the mid-'80s, became one of the real fine left-handed starters in the American League. Was signed by the Padres as a free agent. Went there in 1989 and had 4 excellent years in a row in San Diego. Fermin, the hitter, ball 1. Fermin hitting real well, 325. The replacement for Omar Vizquel. Went to Cleveland in the trade and is now on the disabled list over there. Hurst had 15 wins, 18 wins, 15, 15, 14. Pretty steady. And that pitch is in there for a called strike. His best year overall was 1986, or rather 1988. It was a division championship for Boston. He went 18-6 that year. They won 15 the year before and 15 the year after.
Lou Piniella will hit and run with the bottom part of his order. He does not do it very often with the top part.
Throw back to first, and Mitchell is back. Bruce Hurst from this little town in southern Utah called St. George, and he gave me a tour of St. George from an airplane from about 35,000 feet. 1 ball, 1 strike. And ball 2. I remember it clearly because all of a sudden we was on the Red Sox team plane leaving Southern California, heading back to Boston. And all of a sudden, you know, a little while into the flight, Bruce said, "There's my house." We went over to the window. He showed us his house. He showed us the high school where he grew up, the baseball field where he used to play as a kid. The third should be 2. Palmer to second for 1. Fry back to first. 2. Double play. Now let's go to Gary Miller.
All right, thanks, John. Kellogg's brings us tonight's K-Factor. Randy Johnson, who won the 19-run record setter on Friday, but his strikeouts are down a little bit. Last year, the Mariner ace had an average of 10.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, which led the major leagues. Right now, it's the Rocket leading the majors. Back to you.
1-0 here, Mariners. Randy Johnson been hurting a little bit. He's got a bad knee. Here's Bill Hasselman, strike 1. 1-0 Seattle ahead here. Clemens, by the way, won today. He is the man who finally cooled off the red-hot Minnesota Twins. He won the ball game there 9-2. And the changeup is bounced foul. 0-2 the count. I saw Clemens lock up with Mike Messina last Tuesday. And those 2 excellent pitchers, you hoped that it would be a great duel, and it turned into a classic. And Clemens got beaten in the ball game, but he was throwing real well. Looked like the Rocket again. Curveball missing. 1-2. And another changeup. This one gets away. Rodriguez just in time. So Hurst with his first strikeout. We head to the 3rd inning now. 1-0 Seattle. Juan Gonzalez with the Mariners leading 1-0. He is a hero to many in his homeland of Puerto Rico. He often goes around and gives messages to the youth of his home.
Puerto Rico, pues saludo desde Juan Miguel González y a mi juventud allá en Puerto Rico. Busquen de Dios, respeten a sus padres, vayan a la escuela, practiquen algún deporte y mente sana y cuerpo sano y hacia adelante siempre. Un joven que se lo dice de corazón y que se ha sacrificado, ha trabajado fuerte para estar donde está y para triunfar en la vida, y que ese mensaje les sirva de estímulo, de satisfacción y de inspiración a todos ustedes, que los quiero mucho, de parte de todos los puertorriqueños que estamos en béisbol de Grandes Ligas. Deseamos lo mejor de la suerte, que Dios los bendiga a todos. Gracias.
Gracias, Juan Gonzalez. And meanwhile, Ken Griffey Jr.
Did that remind you of Willie Mays?
Kind of reminded me of like Mays or Mantle.
Mantle, yeah, right. That's what it did to me, too. Reminded me, this is just another great catch by a great center fielder. And he's been doing that since he was 19 years old.
At the big league level?
Yeah, I don't know if he's gotten any better, because the first time I saw him at 19, he was this good.
So Manuel Lee robbed of extra bases. Now here's leadoff man David Hulse, and he bluffs the bunt, takes a strike from Roger Salkeld. Well, we wanted to have Juan Gonzalez give the message that he gives to the youth as he travels around Puerto Rico in the offseason. This is the first baseman, Blowers, and Hulse is retired. He's 0 for 2. And Jeff Fry is coming up now.
John, I think it was great because he could speak from the heart. I mean, it's very difficult sometimes for him and other Latin American players to speak from the heart in English because they feel in Spanish. And I thought he did a great job, and I commend him because he is a good person and he does do a lot back in his home country.
And both Juan Gonzalez and his teammate Ivan Rodriguez asked us to say to everybody, Vega Baja. That's the town they're from, Vega Baja.
I thought the captions were for you, right? I took Spanish in high school, so, and I played with Concepcion and Perez and guys, so I understood what he was talking about.
I needed those captions all the way through, no question. 1-1 the count to Fry. Juan Gonzalez doesn't learn the same Spanish that I learned. I'm good if we're talking about things like El elefante es muy grande, or
Sí.
Mi casa es blanca y roja.
Sí.
Things like that, you know. Or ¿Dónde está el baño?
Sí.
See, now I'm good. You and I are both together on this now. 1-2 the count, and strike 3. Got him with a high fastball. Top of the order coming with the Mariners, Amaral, Soho, and Griffey. 1-0 Seattle. For the second time in this game, he is the leadoff man for the Mariners. He'll be followed by Luis Soho and then Ken Griffey. Bruce Hurst on the mound for Texas. He is trailing 1-0. And the tailing fastball outside, ball 2. Amaral, a guy who has persevered. He is 32 years of age and finally made it into the big leagues as a rookie last year at age 31 and hit .290. There's a called strike, but all of a sudden this year, put back out there at second base, and he was having a hard time getting it done. 10 errors out there.
And you have to remember you're playing on AstroTurf, you know, in half your ball games, if you will, over the course of the season.
Into left center field and deep. House. He got there. And he just raced back, got to his spot, and then the ball came down.
Second baseman, number 9, Luis Soho.
Well, he gets a good jump on the ball. Holtz does in center field. Amaral hit the ball pretty well, but it's high and into center field. See, Holtz takes a look to see where the wall is. Now he decides how far he has to go, and he waits for it. And he makes it a routine play.
David Hulse, a native Texan. Here is Luis Soho for Toronto Blue Jay. David Hulse is from San Angelo, Texas. He's a native Texan just like you, Joe.
Yes.
Bluff in the butt, Soho there. That brought Palmer in from third, but it's 2-0 now. Ken Griffey is on deck. 1-0, the Mariners ahead. And 3-1? 2-1, okay. Scoreboard playing some tricks here. There you see the plate umpire. Terry Kraft indicate what it is. 2-1. Jim Joyce at first base. Ed Hickox at second. Jim McKean, the crew chief. That one is belted into deep left center field. And that one is gone! Caught in the bleachers.
This is one of the reasons you can't fall behind hitters if you're Bruce Hurst and you do not have the good movement on your fastball. When the hitter can sit on the fastball and you throw it and you get it up, you're going to pay the price. That was a pretty straight fastball up and out over the plate, and Soho hit a line drive that found the left field bleachers after a fan caught it and brought it in.
Here's Griffey. Curve ball is low. Now Griffey walked his first time. So it is 1-0.
He's going to have to throw Griffey a lot of curveballs. Not that Griffey can't handle the curveball, but you have to do something to keep him off balance.
He spun a nice one in there for a called strike. 1-1. 2-0 for the Mariners. Luis Soho, who hit a grand slam last night, and now he has another home run tonight. Fastball up and in. 2-1.
What you have to do against good hitters is show them different speeds. It's not that they can't handle the fastball, not that they can't handle the curve or the slider, but you have to show them different speeds to keep them off balance.
Oh, changed up on him.
Right.
He's thrown to that 83-mile-an-hour fastball. That came in at 78.
He has thrown him First pitch was a curveball. He followed with a curve, a fastball inside, now a changeup. And Griffey is out in front. And that's what changing speeds will do to a good hitter. Now he has 2 or 3 ways to go.
This is Will Clark. He waves off Hurst, and Griffey is retired. Clark unassisted. 2 men down.
Well, he went away with a fastball, but he still couldn't get it by Griffey. Griffey was still able to pull it. Now watch, this is a fastball away, and Griffey is still able to get to it. Although he was a little flat-footed, his balance, he was off balance a little bit, and that's why he threw him so many different speeds.
And we got the reading on that last pitch, Joe, at 85, which is the fastest pitch that Hurst has thrown.
But still, he pulled it with 2 strikes. That tells you that his fastball really doesnn't have the hop at the end.
This one also 85 for a called strike to Buhner. Buhner also walked his first time. 2-0. The Mariners leading the Rangers here in the 3rd inning. That is deep to 3rd. Palmer. There's a strong arm. Well, a run for the Mariners, but now the big guns are coming up for the Rangers. Canseco, then Clark, then Gonzalez. Jose Canseco, and the power coming up for the Rangers here in the 4th inning against Roger Salkeld, against whom the Rangers have only 1 hit so far. And Canseco doesn't get that breaking ball. 0-1. Canseco called out on strikes his first time.
Well, he was called out on a curveball. That was more of a slider down and away. And Canseco asked Terry Kraft if that was a strike, and Kraft shook his head. That pitch broke off the plate outside.
The 90-mile-an-hour fastball misses. 1 ball, 1 strike to count. 2-0 Seattle. Now the Mariners got 13 runs here last night, and they got 19 runs Friday night here. That's a ball. 2-1. And but tonight the Rangers, they'd like to avoid being swept in a 4-game series, of course, but they'd also like to get back some of their respectability here. And their bullpen is really chewed up. They made a move today, partly to get somebody here who can help them out of the bullpen. They sent Rick Helling, a starter, out. Pretty good fastball. 2-2.
That was 89 miles an hour, and Canseco just swung through it. But again, he's seen so many breaking balls. He was a little late behind on that fastball.
He's talking to himself now, Joe. Hard times for the Rangers. Their guys are talking to themselves now. That thing was supposed to break, and it didn't. 80 miles an hour. Slipped out of his hand again. It's 3-2 the count. Clark on deck.
Hitters often talk to themselves, John. They just sometimes do not move their lips.
I never saw you talk to yourself up there.
I did quite often.
Really?
Yes.
Now Mo Vaughn goes the other way. He says the ball talks to him. Struck him out.
Both of the fastballs that Canseco swung and missed on were up in the strike zone. And the high fastball, especially the high fastball inside, is very difficult to hit. Strike 2 is a fastball up and out over the plate, but strike 3 is the fastball up and in. Now this pitch is up and in. You see the target down and away, but this pitch is up and in, very difficult to hit. Good pitch from Salkeld.
And Canseco struck out twice in this game. Now Will Clark the hitter. Sinking considerably. Clark popped a short on the 1 pitch he saw from Salkeld in the 2nd inning. Will Clark into the game hitting .379. 3rd best in the American League at the start of the day, back of only Paul O'Neill and Albert Bell. This threesome, talk about production. Now you get the 3 of them in a row, Canseco, Clark, and Gonzalez. Canseco, 39 RBIs. Clark, 38. And Gonzalez, 37. 114 between them. That's a foul after 40 games. So nearly 3 RBIs a game on the average from these 3 guys. The only team in baseball that has a more potent threesome right now for RBI production is Chicago, the White Sox in the American League. With Franco, Ventura, and Thomas. High in the air, up through a maze of speakers and wires, and untouched. Hammer on the left fielder, the shortstop Fermin, the third baseman Edgar Martinez, all giving chase. A couple of grown men ended up fighting for it right there in the box seats. Looks like they had a jump ball out there. 2-2 the count. Will Clark. In a way, Joe, I think this is a guy who is determined to prove to everybody that the last 2-3 years were an aberration, that he's still a guy capable of playing at the top rung of his sport. Worked out intensively this winter. So it's full count now, 3-2 to Clark.
Look at Will. There's Will Clark's. The way he hits the ball now, he's basically a lot of balls to center field. 383 when he hits the right.
Right to the second baseman. Soho makes the catch.
Left fielder, number 19, Juan.
Two men down. Here is Juan Gonzalez. Gonzalez singled his first down. That's the only hit the Rangers have had so far against the right-hander Roger Sawkel. And ball one outside. Well, now pretty steadily. Sawkel's up around 89, 90 miles an hour with his fastball. Gonzalez, 46 homers last year, 43 the year before. Just disappeared up there. A slider. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gonzalez. Over 100 RBIs, 3 years in a row. He's only 24 years old.
Age is Griffey.
Yeah.
I tell you, a lot of people do not give him the credit that he deserves. I mean, he is as good in the batter's box as you're going to find with a young hitter. He is continuing to improve. His batting average went up each year as well as his home runs and RBIs.
The slider spins in there. Strike 2, and Gonzalez doesn't agree with Terry Kraft. 2-2 the count. Roger Sawkel, he is pitching very impressively here early on. His slider, he's mixed in a curveball occasionally. He's able to throw his fastball past Canseco. So it's a full count now. 2 down, nobody on. He struck out Canseco. Will Clark lined out. And he's trying to get Gonzalez. 2-0 Seattle ahead. We're in the last of the 3rd inning.
Before the rotator cuff problem, he would have just reared back and threw the fastball on this 3-2 pitch. Now he's going to go with a breaking ball.
Popped him up. Edgar Martinez. And that is the inning. He's on a roll. Edgar will lead it off when we get back. 2-0 Seattle. Ball from Seattle. 2-0. The hometown Mariners lead the Texas Rangers. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Bruce Hurst trying to resurrect his career. He's worked into the 4th inning. Now Juan Gonzalez has left the game. Chris James has come on. He moves into right field, and Rusty Greer moves from right field over to left field. Edgar Martinez, the hitter, takes a fastball for a strike. Edgar singled home the first Mariners run. That was back in the 1st inning. So he's 1 for 1, batting .311 now. Curveball misses. 2-1 the count. So Juan Gonzalez, who had a collision with Dean Palmer in the very 1st inning of this game, as he caught a foul fly. Palmer's still in there. And into left field, a base hit. Edgar is 2 for 2. Luis Soho was the batter who hit the foul back in the 1st inning. You see Palmer and Lee and Gonzalez all chase. And although we saw Gonzalez calling for it, Joe.
Well, actually, I couldn't see how he hurt his leg. We saw Palmer get hit in the face with his elbow, and then we see Gonzalez walking off. He's finished for the night, but I don't know exactly how he hurt his leg. They were working on his right shin.
So Gonzalez out of the game. Now here's Flowers. Runner at first, nobody out. And Edgar is back to the bag. Edgar missed most of last year with a hamstring problem. It just would not heal. It affected really every aspect of his game. And then as he tried to play on it, it just got worse and worse. That is a base hit. So Flowers singles. He's 1 for 2. Martinez stops at second. 2 on, nobody out. Don't forget now, next Sunday, we will go to see the red-hot Minnesota Twins. They were beaten today by Boston, but they've been the hottest team around. And Kirby Puckett is having his greatest start for driving in runs. Cecil Fielder and the big sluggers of Sparky Anderson's Detroit Tigers will be there. Could be a wild one for the Metrodome. Sunday night baseball, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and 5 Pacific. The Tigers and the Twins, Fielder and Puckett. Don't miss it. We'll be there. Twins have been extraordinary. They played the Baltimore Orioles, who were 21-10. They swept them. Then the Yankees came in with a 10-game winning streak. They swept them. Then the Red Sox came in with the second-best record in the league, and they won the first 2 from them, including a 21-2 victory Friday, before Clemens finally cooled them off today. Well, here is Keith Mitchell showing no sign of the bunt there. Ball 1. He walked his first time, and Hurst is in lots of trouble here. He's already trailing 2-0. He's thrown 59 pitches. They're hoping that he might be able to go as many as 6 tonight. Their bullpen is that beaten up.
But he's always been able to get the ground ball in these types of situations. We'll see if he goes with the sinker here to try to get the ground ball.
Runners are going. Ball was hit on the ground, but foul. 1 ball, 1 strike.
As I said earlier, Lou does not like to hit and run with the top of the order, but he will do so a lot with the bottom of the order.
You got to feel pretty good with your chances of your guy making contact against Hurst. There's Piniella. Everything that was supposed to happen for the Mariners this year has happened just the opposite. They were supposed to have strong starting pitching and a poor bullpen. The bullpen has been the one saving grace. The starters have been terrible. They're supposed to have strong defense. That has been bad. Run is not going in. Ooh, a curveball misses. Hurst a little disappointed in that call. He thought he had it in there. 2-1.
But I would say that he's a good guy to hit and run on, because look at his first 2 starts, 5 batters have swung and missed. That would tell you that they are usually going to make contact if you swing.
Hurst had 1 start against California that ended up going into a rain delay, so he was taken out after only pitching into the 3rd inning. Then he started against Oakland the other night. That's a high foul that will go out of play down the right field line. Hurst again did not go very far in his last start, and he's given up 9 runs in his 6 2/3 innings of work coming into play tonight. He went 4 innings against Oakland last Tuesday, gave up 7 runs. Claude Osteen, pretty good left-hander in his day, keeping a close eye, and left-hander Bruce Hurst here tonight.
He was very similar to Bruce Hurst. Threw a sinker, good curveball, and a changeup. Very similar type pitcher as Bruce Hurst is.
And that one misses inside. Ball 3.
So now we're back to a perfect hit and run situation if you want to do so in your Lou Piniella.
Well, he wants to.
Think so, huh?
Don't you? You want to?
I like to see things happen, but
Fermin
does
is
not want to run into a double play or run yourself out of a big inning here. They have an opportunity here with the first 2 runners on.
Yeah, but it's not Griffey on deck. It's Fermin.
But he's hitting over 300 as well.
They're running.
Well, they think they are. At least the Rangers think they're running.
Jeff Fry coming in on the pickoff attempt.
You just about have to run if you try to hit and run 2 pitches ago.
Look, there's the sign right there.
Time to try it again.
That's the hit and run sign. All right. You surprised I picked up their signs like that, didn't you?
Yes, that was very difficult to do, but I think you should watch the third base coach.
Well, we got a camera that watches the man. We get it from the source, man.
Okay.
You see the runners. Martinez at second. That's Blowers at first.
Well, one of them was going.
What did I tell you?
One of the runners were running. One of them was running. That was the first. The guy from third was second base. I'm sorry, was running. The one from first was not going.
Well, we're going to have to find him, Joe. So the bases are loaded now. Uh-oh. When blue blows the bubble, you know what that means?
What is that one? Squeeze?
You're on your own.
Yeah, but you're not going to squeeze.
No, they're not going to. It means they're on their own.
I think this is
Hit away.
a visit to see how Hurst is feeling. Just to see if he feels like he has good stuff, the same stuff he had at the beginning of the ball game, or whether he feels like he's tiring a little bit.
Well, Hurst threw 89 pitches in his last start. There is Hector Fajardo starting to warm up now in the bullpen. Well, Hurst is, I mean, also, this is a question now of staying in the ball game for the Rangers, not just Hurst.
Yes.
Bases loaded, nobody out. He's thrown 64 pitches so far tonight, and he has issued 4 walks, his 1 strikeout. By the way, Claude Osteen visiting the mound now. His son, Gavin, is with the Oakland Athletics organization, pitching in Tacoma, which is not far from here. And the Athletics might call his son up. The way the Athletics are going, I mean, what do they have to lose by calling somebody up? Man, that pitching has really been bad. So here's Fermin. Deep into left center field, but not deep enough to go out of here. Caught out there by the left fielder Greer, and coming in to score is Edgar Martinez. It is 3-0.
Well, Bruce Hurst is not completely disappointed in this. He wanted to get an out, and the runners do not move up. That pitch was right in the middle of the plate, and Fermin thought he should have hit it better, but he does get the job done. He gets the runner home from third base.
Well, Fermin, he's hit home runs before. He's got 4 home runs already in his career.
John, everyone has hit home runs this year.
Well,
very few players.
Well, he's hit 1 so far this year.
Okay, very few players have not put a notch on that bat this year.
He's got 1 in 127 at-bats and 4 in his career in 2,300 at-bats. Charging from short, Manuel Lee just kind of flips it over there to first. Didn't get Hasselman by all that much. The runners advance. Blowers to second, Blowers to third, Mitchell to second. Kind of low-keyed that play, didn't he?
Well, that's the kind of play that doesn't endear your shortstop to his teammates or the fans. I mean, he didn't. It's a tough situation. Runners at first and second. You have to get that runner. Kind of flipped it over there nonchalantly.
Now leadoff man Rich Amaral. He has grounded to third and fly deep to center. He's 0 for 2.
And obviously this is a very key hitter for Hurst.
Got him chasing the off-speed delivery. Fry just in time. He almost took too much time as well. 3-0. The Mariners are ahead now as we head to the 5th inning. Greer, then Palmer and Rodriguez. Monday Night Baseball from Seattle. The Mariners trying to move into first place as they are leading the Rangers 3-0. If they win, they will be in first place. An appeal there. Jim McKean refuses to overrule umpire Terry Kraft. No swing there. Greer, who walked his first time, has a count of 1-0 against Roger Sawkel. And that's too high. Sawkel readily admitted, Joe, when he first signed, and I mean, this guy was a real high draft choice. 3rd pick in the entire draft at 89. Really highly thought of. And he said, hey, when he got to the pros, he pitched just like it was high school. He said, I'm just having fun out there. That one is belted down the right field line, and it is up against the wall to the corner. Now, Buhner's got a strong arm. Very close. But Buhner kind of double-clutched as if he were surprised that Greer was heading out. Maybe costing him the chance to get him.
Well, he did take a little longer to get rid of the ball than he normally does. But good hustle by Greer. This ball is lined down the right field line. Now watch Buhner. He plays the carom perfectly, fires to second base. Throw is on target, but he slides in safely. They're going to the mound to check Salkel to see if he's okay, and that's why Lou Piniella came out, but you can see that he does get his hand in there. Good call by Hickox at second base. Now watch, the ball comes off the wall. Now watch Buhner. He grabs it, takes a little look back at first base. Now the throw is there, but watch, see his hand slides in there, and the tag is on the elbow. Good call there at second base. Lou Piniella came out to visit Salkel in between replays, but he decides to leave him in.
Brought the trainer out there, Rick Griffin with it. Dean Palmer, ball one. Palmer struck out his first time. Well, there's apparently a little concern about Salkel, though, and they've got some action going in their bullpen now. Do the Mariners. It is 3-0. Seattle ahead. We're in the 5th inning. That double by Greer, only the second hit for Texas. Well, now that fastball, Joe, 86 miles an hour. That's not where he's been most of the time with that. There is Jeff Nelson, big 6 foot 8 inch tall right-hander, and Goose Gossett sitting on the bullpen bench right behind him there.
And when I talked to Lou Piniella today, he said Gossett has really been a great help to the young players down in that bullpen.
By Fermin. He got it. Greer had to hold.
There are good outs and then there are bad outs. That was not a good out. With a runner at second and no one down and you're trailing by 3 runs, this is not a good out. It's a nice play by Fermin, but not a good out because the runner didn't move up.
It's still early enough in the game. I mean, the Rangers don't have to get it all at once. A run here, a run there.
The 5th inning, you're only trailing 3-1.
Plus, you're facing a pitcher.
3-0. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you're facing a pitcher you're not hitting well. Manufacture a run. Get to him when you have the shot.
Well, you have to hurt him first before and make him know that you can hurt him, and then he starts to pitch a little tighter.
Here's Ivan Rodriguez. And the curve is high. Another pitcher has gotten up in that Mariners bullpen when he saw the right-handed Jeff Nelson. He's been joined by a left-hander down there. There he is. That's Eric Plantenberg. Just to back up from the minor leagues. 1-0 the count to Rodriguez. Slider misses. Now this crowd is very quiet. As if concerned with the turn of events here. The pitcher with all of a sudden maybe something being a little bit wrong. A chance for the Rangers to score. And a hush has befallen this crowd. You see the Kingdom. 59,000 seats in here for baseball. The Mariners are hoping for a pennant race this year. Maybe as an indicator of what they could draw. Nice pitch over the outside. 2-1. And I don't see any reason why any of these teams shouldn't stay in the race all year.
Well, you have to look at it differently, John. I believe that the Mariners and I believe the Texas Rangers, both of these teams are going to play better as the season progresses once they get their pitching staff straightened out and their defenses.
3-1. Well, you see the Texas on top. California lost today. And Seattle really struggling with 3 straight wins. They're still 5 games under. And then Oakland way down. The worst record in the American League. Texas just getting Bruce Hurst and also Roger Pavlik, who's an important man in that rotation. Well, just getting them back. Slider misses. Ball 4 to Rodriguez, and the Rangers have 2 men on with 1 man out. And we'll take it down to Gary Miller.
John, MCI proof positive takes us to California for the latest mastery of David Cone. Working on 3 straight shutouts, he got it. 4 strikeouts, including Tim Salmon. Ended it with a 1-6-3 double play. The first American League 8-game winner. He's won 8 in a row. This one 4-0. Back to you.
And David Cone is on a roll. Home runs are flying out of ballparks all over the country. And David Cone has 29 consecutive scoreless innings, 3 straight shutouts. The only game he has lost this year was the first start he made this year in Baltimore. Here's Manuel Lee. The Rangers trying to get back in the game here, trailing 3-0. Did he swing? Jim McKean says no. 1 ball, no strikes. Lee drove one deep to center, which turned into the play of the night up till now as Ken Griffey Jr. ran it down.
Well, we'll take a look and see if you can. Well, you're not getting the same identical view as Jim McKean at third base, but it looked like he checked.
Manuel Lee, who never did really get started last year. He missed most of spring training. He was hurt. Then he went on the disabled list when the season started. And then just never did hit once he did start to play. But this year, Lee is hitting over 300. Apparently a little bit high inside. 2-1 the count. In fact, 2 of the top 3 shortstops in the American League for batting average are playing here tonight. A couple of surprising names on that list. Felix Fermin of the Mariners and this batter, Manuel Lee. Both hitting over 300. Inside, ball 3. And Sawkel threw that one at 85 miles an hour. And Joe, does he look to you like he's starting to labor?
Well, he is definitely struggling, but this is the 5th inning. He needs to get through 5 before he can get a win. And so when Lou Piniella came out to ask him, about his health and how he felt, he said, "I'm fine," because he wants to try to get through the 5th inning here.
Sammy Ellis, the pitching coach, looking on. This looks like an easy play in left center. Amaral takes it. The runners have to go back. So Lee is retired. That was the 70th pitch thrown so far by Roger Sawkel. 2 down, and the batter will be David Hulse. By the way, the umpires working tonight, Jim McKean's crew, wanted us to send along their best wishes to fellow umpire Vic Voltaggio, who will undergo knee surgery in Spring Hill, Florida. And they wanted Vic to know they were thinking of him. We wish him good luck. Hulse swung at a bad ball. Fouls it back. That's the big failing, I guess, with Hulse right now. Joe, you would not be pleased with his walk total for a leadoff guy. Very impatient up there.
Well, he's an aggressive hitter, and maybe he's not suited for that leadoff spot right now, but I'm sure Kennedy is hoping that he will grow into that spot.
You know who I saw this weekend, who all of a sudden is more patient than he's ever been in his career? Don Mattingly of the Yankees. He's walked 30 times already. He's got an on-base average of around 430. And he came into the season determined to do that. And you know who he enlisted to help him work on that in spring training? Wade Boggs. Boggs, of course, always gets 80 to 100 walks every year. 1 ball, 1 strike to Hulse, meanwhile. Which just goes to show you, if you put your mind to it, Joe, that you can learn to be patient up there.
Well, I believe you can be patient if you just stay within the strike zone.
Right to Amaral. And that's it. Hulse is 0 for 3. Soho coming up, and then Griffey and Buhner. 3-0 Mariners. Jam, though, in the 4th inning.
John, and I think the Mariners helped him. Fermin swings at the first pitch. This is a good pitch to hit. Now watch. Let's take a look at Hasselman. This is not a good pitch to hit. And also Amaral, this pitch is down and away, and he swings at it off a changeup. You have to think that a guy like Hurst is not going to give in to you on the first pitch, and they did not give him a chance to give him good pitches to hit.
He had the bases loaded and nobody out. He had just walked Mitchell. And then 3 pitches later, the inning was over.
Yeah, with only 1 run scored.
Here's Luis Sojo. He homered his last time. He's homered in each of the last 2 games. The Mariners have now hit 11 home runs in the last 3 games, this being the 3rd. That bunt is foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Sojo.
Good idea by Sojo. Not very often do you see a player hit a home run and the next time at bat try to bunt. But Sojo knows that he's not a home run hitter, so he tries to get on base for Griffey and Buhner and Martinez, who would follow.
I don't know. He used to be not a home run hitter, Joe, but now grand slam last night. Of course, last night he hit the grand slam over the 312-foot marker in right field, and maybe a foot over that 312.
One of those 313 on the IBM tail of the tape.
He said himself, he said, you know, I wasn't too impressed with it. I thought it was going to go foul. Strike 3 call. Second strikeout. Ken Griffey's coming up now.
I talked about comparing Ken Griffey Jr. to Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. Look at this. At age 24, Willie Mays hit 51 home runs. And also at age 24, Mickey Mantle hit 52 home runs. So I'm putting a lot of pressure on Ken Griffey Jr. He hit 45 last year. He has 19 now. He only has, what is that, 33 more to go to catch Mantle.
And you see the home runs have been increasing steadily for Ken Griffey Jr.
And the other thing to compare him with Willie Mays is when you watch Ken Griffey Jr. play, he reminds me so much of Mays because he's having fun. You could always tell Willie Mays enjoyed playing baseball. And when Ken Griffey Jr. is on the field, you know he's having a lot of fun out there. But as the guy once said about Stan Musial, it's easy to have fun when you're hitting 45 home runs a year and a great player.
Yeah. Well, we're all having fun watching him.
Yes.
Strike 2, a fastball over the outside. Nice pitch by Hurst. 1-2.
Well, Hurst is really mixing his pitches well to Griffey.
Look at that. Last 162 games that the Mariners have played. 55 homers for Griffey. Strike 3 over the inside.
And you can see that Hurst moved the ball in and out on Griffey. He got Griffey looking away with 2 strikes by painting the outside corner, and now he comes back inside with a fastball. Well, you have to also remember he had used the curveball a lot against Griffey. Here's the strike 2, fastball right on the outside corner. At least that's what his Terry Kraft says. Now here's another fastball on the inside corner. Griffey thought the first one was away. He thought that one was inside, but strike 3 called.
Here's Jay Buhner, and he takes ball 1. Buhner has walked and grounded to third. Griffey tonight has walked, grounded to first, and now he has struck out. 3-0, the Mariners ahead, and that's too high. 2-0 to Buhner. 2 down, nobody on here in the 5th inning. Well, you saw the comparison there with what Mantle and what Mays did when they reached 24. What Griffey is so far doing, I mean, he's off to a great start with a shot to get 50 home runs or so.
But he hit 45 at 23.
Man. But there was also something else about those stats. Buhner swings away in 3-0. Shallow right field. Clark out. Fry out. And in for the catch is Chris James. And that's it. 3 up and 3 down. Fry, Canseco, and Clark coming up. Mariners 3, Rangers nothing. Sunday night baseball from Seattle. John Miller with Joe Morgan, and there is the new Seattle pitcher, Jeff Nelson, 6 feet, 8 inches tall, side armor with a very good slider. And Joe, those side armors that throw hard and are a little bit wild, they can make life a little difficult for a right-handed hitter.
Well, they definitely can for the middle of this lineup. You have Canseco, although Gonzalez is out now. You'd like to have a big side-arming right-hander to pitch to Canseco and Gonzalez every time up.
Jeff Fry is fly to center and struck out. Takes the slider for a strike. He just comes in via third base there.
Yeah, and he kind of bailed a little bit there, Jeff Fry did, on that first pitch. Until you see a pitch from him, you have to wait. You can't stay in there.
Slider misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nelson out of Baltimore. He was originally signed years ago by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And it wasn't until he left the Dodgers organization that things started going well for him. Ball's bounced foul back behind the plate. He was selected by the Mariners in the minor league Rule 5 draft in 1986. And they made him a starting pitcher after they got him. And that's when he started throwing sidearm, and he started throwing real hard. And a lot of strikeouts. That is a base hit. He kind of got that slider up where he didn't want to have it, and that's what you were talking about, Joe. Fry saw his motion a little bit, stayed in there, and hit it hard.
He hung in there very well with 2 strikes going back through the middle. Well, he doesn't bail out here. The first time up he pulled out. He doesn't pull off of that pitch even though it was up. And he lined it in the center field for a base hit.
So Fry with his first hit, only the third for the Rangers, and here is Jose Canseco. Now, he struck out twice against Salkeld, once looking. With either a hit or a walk, Jose Canseco, one way or the other, has reached base in each of the last 24 games. Fastball at 91 miles an hour, strike one.
It's a good, smart pitch there by Nelson, just to get ahead of Canseco, not to let them see your motion on your breaking ball yet. Now it's one strike, and he still hasn't seen the motion on the curveball or the slider.
That's down the right field line, a base hit, and we'll go for extra bases. Buhner digs it out. They're going to hold Fry in third, and Canseco has a stand-up double. Instead of coming back with a slider, Joy came back with another fastball.
Well, Canseco was late on it, but he had a line drive over the first baseman's head. You have to give Canseco credit for good hitting here. He's also very strong. So he's late on that. You can see he didn't know where he's going. He was looking at left field and hitting it to right field. But it's still a line drive down into the corner. And by the time Buhner gets it back in, runners at second and third with no one out.
Now, Will Clark is up here. And this is the Rangers' great opportunity to get right back in the game. But first base is open. And instead of Gonzalez behind him, it's Chris James.
You still have to pitch to him, I believe.
Slider outside. Now that right field porch beckons in this ballpark. Only 312 to the right field corner. The right field power alley, right center, is maybe 350, 355. The wall is 23 feet high out there, but it is very, very close. Slider up and in. 2-0 to Will Clark.
You may think about that, John, if it was a tie ball game. But if Will Clark hits a home run, he can only tie the score.
So if you end up walking him now, Chris James is the possible go-ahead run. Well, let's see if he gives in to him here. 2-0 the count. Slider too high. 3-0.
Well, maybe he's following your line of thinking.
But I have a feeling Pinella's following your line of thinking.
Yes.
And he's
well, Pinella wants him to pitch to it. I guarantee he wants him to pitch to it.
Well, he walked him on 4 pitches. The bases are loaded for James. And Pinella gets up and says, oh my. And he got the right-handed hitter up. He's got a left-hander back up in his bullpen. Jeff Nelson has allowed a single, a double, and a walk. Sammy Ellis calling the bullpen. And now, after so doing, as you see, Plantenberg. Oh, that's Tim Davis now. Plantenberg was up earlier. Now the Goose. That was, I guess, the result of the phone call. Goose Gossage, a right-hander, gets up. Sammy Ellis out to the mound now to visit with Jeff Nelson. Bases loaded, nobody out. Texas. It's an opportunity to get back in. Now, meanwhile, tonight, following SportsCenter, it'll be Toronto and Vancouver. Doug Gilmour and Pavel Bure via tape delay. The Maple Leafs and the Canucks on ESPN.
Chris James is hitting now instead of Gonzalez because Gonzalez left the game with an injury.
The slider is too high. Chris James batting .212, 2 homers, 7 RBIs. Hit well for the Rangers late last year after he came over. And the fastball misses. 2-0. Fry, who singled, is at third base. Canseco, who doubled at second, and Clark, who walked on 4 pitches, is at first base. And now it is 2-0 to Chris James. Let's see if James gets a pitch to hit here. Well, he didn't hit it very well. Nelson to the plate. Out! The force out. Fry retired.
Well, the ball is topped right in front of the plate. It becomes a difficult play, but Nelson charges and throws to the plate in time to get Fry, who was hustling down the line. So fastball looks like it's in the middle of the plate. He just hits the top of it. And it becomes a pretty difficult play for the pitcher, but he makes a good throw because he has to throw like an infielder. Pitchers are not used to making those off-balance throws.
Well, Nelson is going to be taken out now with the left-handed batting Greer coming up. And Eric Plantenberg will come on to pitch. 3-0. Bases still loaded. Plantenberg delivers, and it's a base hit for Rusty Greer. Coming in to score is Canseco. Here comes Clark. Here comes a throw.
Well, it's a line drive. The runners have to hesitate for a second because the ball is almost caught by Soho. Now Buhner comes up and he just fires a strike to the plate, and Clark is out by about 5 steps. With 1 out, you can't take off on the line drive. Now watch, Clark does get a good jump on it though, and he rounds the bag. It's just an excellent throw by Buhner, right on target. And Clark is out. Now here's Buhner with the strong, accurate arm. And the great thing is he keeps the ball down so it could be cut off. And he uses the AstroTurf to get the favorable bounce. And Hasselman applies the tag.
So they get 1. 2 men down, still 2 men on. Goose Gossage coming on to face Dean Palmer with the score now 3-1 Seattle. We'll be back. Here's the Goose with a called strike to Dean Palmer. 2 men on, 2 men out. 1 run is in for Texas. And Goose Gossage, who was released by the Athletics in the springtime, then to be picked up by the Mariners, and he has done well inside. Gossage throwing that last fastball at 90 miles an hour. There is Chris James at second base, and Rusty Greer, the only Ranger to have knocked in a run so far in this one. They'll both be off and running at the crack of the bat here. Up the middle. Vermin, the throw. And the bases are loaded. Again, an infield hit for Dean Palmer, with Ivan Rodriguez coming up.
Well, Vermin's main objective here was to keep the ball on the infield because he took a deep route. And once you take a deep route on AstroTurf, it's almost impossible to throw the ball running away. See how he goes deep behind second base. He didn't try to cut it off, but he wanted to make sure the ball didn't go into center field and allow the runner to score. And it's really not that close at first base. Palmer had it beaten easily.
Rodriguez now to try to get the big hit. A base hit could tie the game. Ball 1. Rodriguez has flied to left center, and he has walked. Goose Gossage working in the 6th inning. You never used to see him until the 8th and 9th innings in the old days, and he was throwing 100 miles an hour. That one is smoked to third, fielded cleanly by Martinez. Over to second, Soho covering, forcing Palmer, and the inning has ended. The Rangers get 4 hits and a walk and only 1 run. They're trailing 3-1. John Miller and Joe Morgan, and we'd rather be outdoors. I mean, what a spectacular day outdoors here in Seattle, which is one of the problems they have here, because when the weather is great, people like to be outside. Ordinarily in baseball, you get great weather, people go to the ballpark, but it's different here in Seattle.
Well, in Seattle, they've even talked about trying to build an outside stadium as well, though, John, and maybe a retractable one so that they can use it like they do in Toronto. In fact, someone told me today if they would have that here, they would have had the roof open more times here than they did in Toronto last year.
Well, maybe you and I could make a donation to the effort if that'll help.
That's what it would be from me. Small donation.
Here is Edgar Martinez. The Mariners have never been in first place in any season in their history as late as 42 games into a season. If they win tonight, they will be in first place after 42 games. Here's Edgar Martinez, and he takes a strike.
And, John, the interesting thing for me is talking to Lou Piniella, I asked him, I said, what would you like to see more of when, do you feel like you're short in your team? Do you need another relief pitcher, need another starter? Of course, everyone needs pitching. But he said he's very pleased with his ball club. He feels like they're just going to get better. As long as they continue to play better defense, he feels like the pitching staff will perform better. And he says they have enough power, and they are a power-hitting ball club.
1 ball, 2 strikes now to Edgar Martinez. Edgar has singled home a run, and he has singled and scored a run. He's 2 for 2, hitting .323 now for the year. Bullpen activity, meanwhile, for the Texas Rangers. Bruce Hurst has now thrown 70 pitches for the game. And the fastball misses down and in. 2-2 the count. There's the right-hander, veteran Jay Howell. And the left-hander just caught up in the minor leagues today, James Hurst. And they sent Rick Helling, the young right-hander, who's been getting clobbered lately, back to the minors. And it's high and away, ball 3. Kevin Kennedy in the jacket, Todd Osteen on the left of your picture, the pitching coach. And pitching, that has been the problem for the Rangers. A team earned run average over 6. On the fastball, Hurst knocks it down and gets back to throw him out. And that's the first time Edgar has been retired in the game. 1 away in the 6th inning. 3-1 the score, Seattle leading.
Hurst is not a hard thrower, so he doesn't fall off to the third base side of the mound. He's in pretty good fielding position, knocks it down, and he knows he has plenty of time. Martinez does not run that well, and he retires him easily at first base.
Here's Mike Flowers, right-handed hitter, hit into a force play and a single. Fastball up and away, ball 1. But whatever the outcome of this game, I would have guessed that Kevin Kennedy would have to be encouraged with what he's seen from Bruce Hurst in this ball game.
Well, especially after the way his other pitchers have performed here in the Kingdome against the Mariners the last few days. Hurst has been able to keep everything under control. And I'm sure that he would take 3 runs in 6 innings every time out for the next few times for Bruce Hurst. Short porch there in right field. If the wind had been blowing out in here tonight, that might have gone. Oh, we mentioned the Rangers started. Now, Kenny Rogers won 15 last year. He was supposed to be one of the aces, along with Kevin Brown. Brown's ERA is over 6. Helling at .588 got sent out to try and get straightened out. Hurst, of course, just made a couple of starts before tonight. And Pavlik, finally off the disabled list. He's gotten routed a couple of times. Of course, their hope is that Rogers and Brown are going to settle in and do what they've done in the past, and that Pavlik will get it together. Still look a little short, though, no matter how you look at it. Yes.
Here's Kevin Brown.
I do believe that both Texas and Seattle will win quite a few ball games.
Look at that, Brown. 70 innings and 105 hits allowed. Keith Mitchell, who's walked twice, takes ball 3. He might walk a 3rd time.
Maybe he thinks it's Kevin up there hitting.
There's a strike. 3-1. Well, Fermin is on deck. Now, Mitchell's a guy, this guy, as well as Kevin, who can hit the ball out of the park. Fermin is not likely to do so. 3-1 the count. And that will go foul on the third base side. Dean Palmer picks it up. Full count, 3-2. I mean, Kevin Brown, to be the ace, he won 20 games 2 years ago. Last year had a cracked bone in his rib cage and still won 15 games after a slow start. But 70 innings pitched, Joe, and 105 hits. That's astounding.
Well, he's a sinker ball pitcher, and if your ball's not sinking, you will give up quite a few base hits.
Opponents have hit .349 against him. That is deep and foul down the left field line. 3-2 to Keith Mitchell. Well, they say that Brown's ball has started to sink now. Early in the year, it wasn't. It was as if he was throwing too hard. Sinker baller who's too strong, throwing too hard, the ball doesn't sink. Hurst changed up out of there. 3-2. Meanwhile, Randy Johnson there, sitting next to Goose Gossage. Randy Johnson also has not put it together. He won 19 games last year. Led the Planet in strikeouts, but his knee is giving him trouble now. Eventually, he may need some surgery. Well, for the third straight time, Mitchell has walked. There's Randy Johnson. Johnson is only 4-3 so far this year, with a 5.72 ERA. And fewer strikeouts than innings pitched, which is not like him. Well, now Claude Osteen out to talk to Bruce Hurst. And Bruce Hurst, of course, coming back from an injury, we wondered what motivated him to try and do it. Here's what he told us.
I like to give the team innings. I like to rest the bullpen. I like to go as deep as I can to a game. That's what I get paid to do, and I enjoyed doing it, and it was fun to be out there. It's fun to face a guy 3-4 times in a game and still figure out a way to get him out. The cat-and-mouse game that goes on, it's a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed it. And like I said, hopefully I can find something in that arm that can get me back to that level, at least close.
Well, that's what keeps veteran players going, the competition. They love to compete, and they love the feeling most pitchers have of being on the mound and trying to keep your team in the ballgame.
Felix Fermin is into a double play. He's hit a sacrifice fly. Mitchell back to the bag at first. 3-1 Seattle ahead. We're in the last half of the sixth inning. Bruce Hurst up around 90 pitches for the game now. And that's what they were hoping tonight, that he'd be able to give them 6 innings. Curveball of beauty, called the strike, 1-1.
He hasn't used the curveball as often tonight as you might expect, but he has gone to the changeup a lot. So he tried to keep the Mariners hitters off balance, and in most cases he's done a pretty good job of that.
Fermin, he's hitting .323. They got Fermin, and they also picked up Reggie Jefferson, who as a platoon player has hit .446 for them, and just now placed on the disabled list this weekend. They got the both of them in the deal that sent Omar Vizquel to Cleveland. Into right field, base hit. Stopping at second, Mitchell. Chris James up with it. And more trouble for Bruce Hurst. There have been base runners in every inning except one, the 5th inning. Kevin Brown flanked by Claude Osteen on the left, and that's Jackie Brown on the right as you look at the picture. By the way, we got a report from the Ranger clubhouse that Juan Gonzalez left the game with a left thigh and a left shin bruise, and they say it's not serious. Here's Hasselman. He is struck out, grounded to shortstop, 0 for 2. 3-1, the Mariners ahead. Bruce Hurst has only allowed 5 hits in this game. He, however, has also allowed 5 walks. 0-1. Saw Hasselman chase a pitch in the first ball with a couple of men on there in the 4th inning. He grounded out. This time he takes that low changeup. Count. Rich Amaral, the leadoff man, is on deck. Mitchell at second, Fermin at first. The Mariners were single runs in the 1st, 3rd, and 4th innings. The Rangers were their only run in the 6th inning. And a curveball. Strike 2 swinging.
Well, the changeup and the curveball has been both have been very effective against Hasselman. And with a 1-2 count, he can afford, if he wants to waste a fastball inside, or he can go right back with the changeup.
Came back with another curveball. 2-2. Hasselman 0 for 2 tonight, and has gone into a little bit of a slump. He's 0 for his last 16. Mitchell at second, Fermin at first, ready to go into anything here. Fastball inside, 3-2 the count. Well, now they will be going. Mitchell from second. Fermin from first. They're talking to Sam Mejias, the first base coach. Bruce Hurst going to keep his team close. Big pitch to make here. Runners go. Pop foul into the upper deck. 3-2.
And John, in any case, this will probably be Bruce Hurst's last batter in this ball game if he can get Hasselman out. And there he's up to 106 total pitches.
Runners go. Change up, center field. House went in, and it went over his head. Mitchell scores. Fermin scores. Hasselman for third. And he's in there. A triple.
Well, it was a line drive that Holtz came in on. It looked like he had a bead on it. But the ball was hit awfully hard. And now watch, he's cutting across. Now he tries to reverse, and he can't get back. Ball sails over his head, goes as a triple. And Hurst thought he was going to catch it. Now he says that's 2 more runs. Now I have not pitched very well. Goes from a 3-1 lead to a 5-1 lead.
So Hasselman with the triple, and Howell is coming in. That's all for Bruce Hurst. Now 5-1 Mariners, and David Holtz misplaying the ball.
Well, David Holtz goes, instead of going here, he comes in and then tries to get back, and he can't get back there in time. You see, he comes in a half circle, and the ball goes over his head for a triple. And that is a very big play here.
It may be the game. Here's Jay Howell, veteran right-hander, 38 years of age, on to face Rich Amaral with a runner at third, Bill Hasselman, and 2 down. The Mariners now leading 5-1. You see, Jay Howell, 38 years old, and pitching like an old guy. I mean, he has really been getting clobbered. 5 home runs allowed. Home run was almost 10. That curveball in there for a strike.
Well, John, that defensive play shows what I was talking about at the beginning of the game. Those will be earned runs, but that was poor defensive play on the part of David Holtz. If he catches that ball, it looks like Hurst pitched pretty well. 6 innings, 3 runs. Instead, it looks like it's a poor performance by the pitching staff.
And right to Fry. And that's the inning. But the damage has been done. The Mariners smelling first place. We go to the 7th. Mariners 5-1. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Peerless Faucet. Get more out of your faucet than just water. And by the more than 800 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. Beautiful Elliott Bay and downtown Seattle. And then the right-hand side of your screen coming into view, the bonnet that covers the Kingdome. And here's the look for the right field foul pole at this ballpark, which became the home of the Mariners in the expansion of 1977. Been a troubled franchise much of that time. But here we go into the late innings tonight with the Mariners having a chance to move into first place, and they are leading 5-1. Now, coming up Wednesday right here on ESPN, more baseball for you. The Chicago Cubs, Mark Grace, Ryan Sandberg and company. They've started to win. They beat the Giants again today. And the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are red hot. Then, next Sunday, it'll be Sunday Night Baseball from Minnesota. Cecil Fielder and the Tigers. Kirby Puckett and the Minnesota Twins. 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific next Sunday. Here's Manuel Lee, and he takes ball 1 from the Goose. David House and Jeff Fry will follow. Lee is 0 for 2 tonight. One ball, 1 strike. And it's a ball low. 2-1 the count.
In his heyday, Gossage threw a great fast fastball and an occasional slider. Now it's more sliders, mixes in the fastball.
And he, too, much like Hurst, Joe, he likes the competition. He likes competing.
Well, so he also likes the ball on the inside corner to be called a strike. That's what he's saying to Terry Kraft. He thought that ball was on the corner.
And it's 3-2, 89 miles an hour there for the Goose. He was one of the most ferocious pitchers you'd ever see. The guys used to describe him coming into games when he was with the Yankees in his prime. And they'd swear that there was like smoke coming out of his nostrils. That is called a strike on the inside, and Lee can't believe it.
Well, the veteran lobbied for it, and maybe he got it. He thought the pitch, the 3-1, 2-1 pitch should have been a strike. And Manuel Lee kind of bails out. Again, it's not where the catcher catches the ball, it's where it crosses home plate.
One away, here's David Hulse. A strike, a sinker. Hulse 0 for 3 tonight. It's been a bad night for him all the way around at the plate. And then the misjudgment on the line drive by Hasselman.
And make no mistake about it, it's easier for even Goose Gossage to pitch with a 4-run lead rather than a 2-run lead. So those 2 runs were very big in this ball game.
Gossage, the 4th Mariner pitcher. Very high. 1-2 now to Hulse. Fry is on deck. Canseco and Manuel Lee talking over. Both of them got called out tonight on pitches that earlier in the same sequence might not have been called strikes against them. Canseco in the 1st inning, and now Lee here in the 7th inning.
When Gossage was with the White Sox, he and Terry Forster were awesome in their young days with the good fastballs. They both threw well over 90. Had good breaking balls. They were just real nasty from the right side and the left side.
There's one year there where Paul Richards, the late Paul Richards, managed the White Sox. That's the 3rd, 89 miles an hour. And that's the out. Edgar Martinez throws out David Hulse, and Hulse is 0 for 4. 2 down. But as you see, Kevin Brown, pitching coach, Claude Osteen there on the left. Paul Richards decided he had these 2 young hard throwers. He made them both starters, and he said simply, well, we have so little in the rotation, we don't have anybody to get to those guys. Yeah, they were both very young. See a lot of heat in those days when you faced the White Sox. And the funny thing was, neither one of them pitched all that well coming out of the bullpen and pitching as starting pitchers. Don't dig in there, rookie. 2-0.
Well, with a 1-ball, no strike count, I'm sure Goose wasn't trying to come off the plate inside. I think he was trying to throw a strike.
Ball 3. 2 down, nobody out. Canseco would be next.
Well, Canseco would represent the tying run.
Had only that ball been caught. There is Bobby Ayala, the new bullpen hero here in Seattle. Picked up from Cincinnati. And yeah, he looks like a hard thrower, doesn't he? And he is. They're still fairly early. And Ayala's already up. This is the 7th inning. Gossage went to the Yankees in '78. He didn't get used the way closers get used today. I mean, Billy Martin would often bring him into games in the 7th inning, sometimes even the 6th inning, and he'd close for 3 innings, or 3 2/3 or 4. He pitched over 140 innings that year for the Yankees. He was overpowered. Here's Canseco, strike for the outside. 90-mile-an-hour heat there. Canseco doubled down the right field line. his last time up there, and that's the only hit he's had tonight. He's hitting .302 for the year right up to the moment. 1 for 3 in this game. 5-1 Seattle. Will Clark on deck. Well, if Canseco can get aboard here, Will Clark would have a shot to make it interesting. The slider, strike 2. Joey had that fastball on the outside edge. He came back with that slider. Now, is Canseco thinking it's another fastball when he swings at that one, or what?
Well, Goose Gossage will, yeah, he thought it was a fastball, but Gossage will come inside normally. He would come inside on this next pitch, 0-2, just to open up the outside part of the plate. Stays away.
1-2 to Canseco. 9 homers, 39 driven in. Among the league leaders in that category. Look out.
Well, that was a pitch late.
All right, so does that mean a slider away coming here?
Well, he would probably go away with a slider or either maybe a fastball away, but the pitch will definitely be away.
Tell you what, Joe, that pitch scared me from here. 2-2. Struck him out with a slider. Not away, but up. And they're shouting goose at the Kingdome. They're smelling first place here in Seattle. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, 5-1 Mariners as we go to the last of the 7th inning.
John, one of the most feared pitches for a right-handed hitter is a backup slider from a hard thrower. This pitch doesn't break. Canseco is waiting for it to break, and the ball goes by him. You can see the spin on the ball as the hitter, but when it doesn't break, you're late on it. And very few people can hit a backup slider. I mean, it's really difficult because the spin is there, and you're waiting for it to move out over the plate, and while you're waiting, the ball goes right by you. As you can see there, the ball Canseco was late on the swing.
Here is Luis Sojo, who has a home run tonight. Facing Jay Howell now. Now he has a single. And Ken Griffey is coming up. Now the Mariners have hit 11 home runs in the last 3 games, including one tonight. But Griffey has not gone deep tonight, and now he will not get a chance to face Howell either. They got a left-hander up in the bullpen, and here comes Kevin Kennedy, perhaps to go get it. There's the lefty, you see. That's James Hurst, no relation to Bruce, just brought up in the minor leagues today. And now he gets the call. Hurst, another Hurst to face Griffey tonight. 5-1 Mariners, last of the 7th. There's the young left-hander James Hurst. 26 years of age, just brought back from the minor leagues today, and now he's immediately put into the middle of it against the hottest hitter in the American League, Paul O'Neill notwithstanding. O'Neill, who, by the way, went 3 for 4 today for the Yankees. He's hitting close to 480 now. But meanwhile, Ken Griffey Jr. is doing it powerfully. 7 homers in his last 8 games, and you see there, Joe, I mean, he hangs in there very well against the lefties, too.
Well, he hits, you know, about the same against left-handers and right-handers. I'm sure he hits with more power against right-handers, but left-handers do not bother him at all.
He averaged a home run every 16 times up there against lefties last year. He's better than that, as you mentioned, against the right-handers. That's pretty good.
Right. That's excellent.
There's Soho at first. Clark on the back with it. Nobody out. Griffey tonight has walked, grounded out, and struck out. 0 for 2. Strike now. 5-1. The Mariners already ahead. Griffey homered last night to the opposite field. They kept working him away, and he just went with the pitch and lofted it near the foul pole down the left field line.
And that was against a left-handed pitcher.
2-1 now. Dave Buhner on deck. And that Ranger bullpen is busy. Hector Fajardo, right-hander, has remained up out there. 2 low to Griffey, ball 3.
It's interesting interesting sequence of pitches here. He threw him a slider for a strike to start off this at-bat, and every other pitch has been basically a fastball down and all fastballs.
There's a long drive. Gone! A home run for Griffey. Number 20.
You know, maybe it reminds me a little bit of Babe Ruth, too. How about Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, and Babe Ruth? Let's take a look at this pitch. Here's the 2-1 pitch. It's low for ball 3. Now he tries, looks like this is a slider. It is a slider, but it doesn't break enough, and Griffey just wraps it over the scoreboard in right field. I mean, he just wraps it. He knows it's a home run right there.
Here's Jay Buhner swinging strike 1. Well, Ken Griffey Jr. on May the 22nd has hit his 20th home run of the season. No player had ever hit number 20 until May the 31st. Prior to this, in the history of baseball, Mickey Mantle hit 20 by May 31st in 1956. However, Mantle playing for the Yankees have played 41 games through that date that year. And that's a ball outside. Griffey has hit number 20 in the Mariners' 42nd game. Mantle hit number 20 in the Yankees' 41st game that year. I think that's probably a better, more accurate way to depict where he is.
You know what, Johnny? He may rewrite all those records before his career is over. He is amazing.
2 years from now, we'll be comparing some hotshot guy with a lot of home runs like Griffey, hit number 20 on May 22nd. There's a high drive deep into left field, but it will stay in the park. And Greer takes it. By the way, that home run for Griffey, the 12th for the Mariners in these last 3 games. Griffey with 1 in each of those games. And Griffey now with 8 home runs in his last 9 games.
I mean, Griffey is so quick, John, that it's like he resets himself on this swing. He waits a little bit. This is Buhner hitting a fly ball. We'll take a look at Griffey in a second.
And Edgar Martinez, 2 for 3, takes ball 1. And they're chanting Edgar. They're starting to get into this first place frame of mind here in Seattle.
I guess so. Well, it's enough to excite you just watching all the home runs the Mariners have hit in the last few ball games.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Edgar. First place will belong to the Mariners if they hold this lead. Yeah, and Edgar.
I know what that says.
Caliente.
He's hot.
Yeah.
See?
And Griffey. Tambien.
No, está muy caliente.
Yeah. Right back to Hurst. And that's out number 2.
I want to take another look at Griffey's swing because, John, watch, he kind of sets himself and then he attacks the ball. Watch this. There's a little pause in there. Right there. See how he pauses for the slider to get out over the plate a little bit, and then he just attacks it. A lot of times when a hitter strides and he has to pause, he can't start the bat quick enough. That just shows how much talent he really has right there.
Here's Blowers. Ball 1. Well, you know, Mickey Mantle played in the house that Ruth built, Yankee Stadium. Right? It was 296 down the right field line. It was 344 to straightaway right field. Mantle was a switch hitter, so he didn't always hit left-handed. But he certainly benefited
from the short porch.
Indeed. And now Griffey's got a short porch here at the Kingdome. And a short porch where the wind never, ever blows in. It's always short here at the Kingdome. Well, that ends the inning. Blowers is thrown out. Will Clark coming up, but Ken Griffey Jr. owns the night. The Mariners with the countdown to first place. Even though the lead is big, here comes the guy who has become the Mariners' closer, Bobby Ayala, formerly with the Cincinnati Reds and acquired in the deal that sent Eric Hansen over to Cincy. Hansen just threw a shutout the other night. And so far, Joe, it looks like a deal that might really help both ball clubs.
Well, Bobby Ayala always has had good stuff. He has a good fastball and a real good split-fingered fastball. That's kind of his out pitch when he gets in real trouble.
Look at those strikeouts. 18 and 2/3 innings pitched. 26 strikeouts, only 8 walks. And he's a kind of a young, hard thrower. You'd expect, well, 26 strikeouts and 15 walks or something, but that's very good. Here's Will Clark, 0 for 2 with a walk. And 95 miles an hour, ball 1. Our radar gun is not used to seeing the balls come in that quickly, Joe.
No, it might have. I think
it's been stuck on 83, 84 most of the night.
Yeah, I think that's the gun they were using when I was going 45, and they said I was going 60 on the freeway that day.
And they were wrong?
They were wrong. And that radar gun there was wrong. That was not a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Joe, you have mechanical phobias. Let's face it.
No, I've seen a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. That was not one.
2-1 the count to Will Clark. Down and in. 3-1. Ken Griffey Jr., 20 home runs. This is the 42nd game for the Mariners. Mickey Mantle hit 20 in the first 41 games for the Yankees in 56. That was the quickest to 20 in Major League history. And Will Clark draws a walk from Ayala.
Well, to put things in perspective, John, most hitters would just say, I'd love to hit 20 home runs for the season. And we're only, about a little over a third into the season, and Griffey, well, what is this, his 42nd game?
Yeah, number 42.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's already got 20 home runs. And that sign tells it all. I guess someone else thought about Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays. What do you think about Griffey?
Coming fast.
Yes.
That's a strike. Mickey Mantle, when he was 24, hit those 20 home runs in the first 41 games and hit 52 for the year and won the Triple Crown that year at age 24. Is that at age 24? Wow.
Amazing.
Batter is Chris James. Strike 2. Now, a guy named Cy Williams for the Phillies in 1923 hit 20 home runs in the first 44 games. That was the second quickest to 20 in history until tonight. Slider.
Well, look, I think that was a splitter, John, instead of a slider. It did break like a slider, but yeah, that's a splitter. It just kind of goes down. It moves away and down. That's more of a splitter. That is his splitter anyway.
Now here is Rusty Greer. Walk, doubled, and singled home a run. 2 for 2. Singled home the Rangers' only run of the game. 7-1, the Mariners leading the Rangers in the 8th inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, Babe Ruth, the year after he hit 60 home runs, 1928, hit his 20th homer in the Yankees' 46th game.
Now, give me some guys I know.
That's the quickest that Babe Ruth ever got to 20. Split-fingered fastball.
Yeah, but the Babe always finished fast.
Jimmy Fox, 1932, hit 58 home runs, hit number 20 in the 46th game. Frank Howard, 1968, hit 44 homers, hit number 20 in the 46th game. So you got Babe Ruth, the quickest he ever did it, hit number 20, was the 46th game. He finished that year with 54 homers. Jimmy Fox, the quickest he did it, 46 games, finished the year with 58. Frank Howard, number 20, in game 46, hit 44 that year. And Mantle, when he got 20 in 41 games, finished with 52. Griffey now, in the Mariners' last 163 games, has hit 56 home runs. Going back to a year ago. The split-fingered pitch for strike 3.
Well, when you throw 90-plus miles an hour and you have the good splitter, it's very difficult to handle. And that pitch is very effective against left-handed hitters. You can see it move down and away from the left-hander, and it moves down and away from the right-hander.
Bobby Ayala from Ventura, California. And Dean Palmer into the alleyway, and Griffey will have to go play it off the wall. Will Clark around third, and he'll score without a throw. Dean Palmer with his second consecutive hit, and he gets a run batted in. The walk is turned into a run. It is 7-2 for the Mariners.
Well, Palmer jumps on the first fastball that he sees. It's up and out over the plate, and he drills it in the right center field. Griffey tries to cut it off, but it just gets in the gap. And you can see him pull up a little bit there. I think his knee is still bothering him a little bit. He hyperextended his knee a few days ago.
This is Ivan Rodriguez. He's flied to left center. Walked and hit into a force play. And that's foul down near the Rangers bullpen area. Down the right field line. 7-2, the Mariners ahead at the top of the 8th inning. Bobby Ayala will turn 25 this July. Last year with Cincinnati, he did some starting and mostly was a reliever. He was 7-10 with a 5.60 earned run average. Look down. That one ends up at the backstop, and down to third base goes Palmer. Well, Ayala's wild enough too that he'll
to be effective, right?
Keep you loose up there, it looks like.
Well, it's a fastball way up and in, and actually the Houseman didn't get his glove up in time. It is scored as a wild pitch.
Ball and a strike now to Rodriguez. Ayala into the game tonight with a 1.93 earned run average, used differently here than he was used with Cincinnati last year. Of course, just about everybody in Cincinnati was used differently than they're being used this year or were used before. We were in an emergency mode most of last year in Cincinnati with all of the injuries. Picked up 3 saves last year with the Reds. Got 6 this year. Fastball outside. 3-1. Manuel Lee is on deck. Back in August of last year, they put him in the rotation there for a month or so. Off the outside. Ball 4. Second walk of the inning.
The last thing you want to do in this situation is walk someone. You came in to the 8th inning with a 7-1 lead, and that's the second walk in the inning. And you cannot continue to give the Texas Rangers a lot of opportunities to score runs because they can put a big number on you.
Now, just for the sake of argument here, Joe, I'm wondering, they've got a game tomorrow in Oakland. They had a 7-1 lead. Why bring Ayala in the 8th inning in the first place? 2 innings, if he really labors like he has been so far, might have to sit him out tomorrow if the game is tight.
I don't think there's any doubt that this is a very important game for the Mariners because Lou Piniella feels they're on a roll now. They're starting to play well, and they have not played well on the road, and they are going on the road tomorrow, as you mentioned. So they want to make sure that they win this ball game. And I think he's saying, I'll worry about tomorrow.
Yep. Sammy Ellis out to the mound, meanwhile, to visit with Ayala. I'll remind you now to follow the Stanley Cup playoffs on ESPN tonight at midnight Eastern. It's the tape-delayed coverage of the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Vancouver Canucks as the Leafs try to even the series at 2 games apiece. Then tomorrow night, it's the Devils meeting the Rangers in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final. They're even at 2 games each there. Catch all your Stanley Cup playoff action right here on ESPN. Fourth ball, a split-fingered pitch in for a strike to Manuel Lee. 2 down, 2 on. There's Palmer at third base. Rodriguez at first base. They're not bothering to hold him on with a 5-run lead. Lee 0 for 3 in the game. And the count goes to 1-1 to him. And the Mariners, you mentioned the Mariners on the road. They go on the road tomorrow to Oakland. Their record on the road this year is 4-15. Rodriguez goes, but Lee strikes out. 7-2 Mariners. We go to the last of the 8th. It's 7-2 for the Mariners as we go to the last of the 8th inning here at the Kingdome.
And John, as I mentioned at the beginning of the ball game, defense sometimes makes the pitching look poor. This is a poor defensive play by the Rangers. You see Gonzalez calling it. It also caused Gonzalez, caused him to have to go out of the game. Now here's a great play by Griffey on the other side of the spectrum. Now here is Buhner, also great play by the Mariners, throwing out Clark, who was trying to score. And the biggest play of all, this is Holtz trying to make a catch, which cost 2 runs to the Texas Rangers and really put the game out of reach. Of course, Ken Griffey Jr. later added a 2-run homer, but that, in my opinion, was the defensive lapses that they've been having that have really hurt them, and that hurt them more than anything else in tonight's ball game.
Now the veteran Rick Honeycutt, who will turn 40 this summer, becomes the 4th Rangers pitcher of the game. Honeycutt face Keith Mitchell, and it is ball 1. Bruce Hurst started, ended up being charged with 5 runs and 6 hits in 5 2/3 innings. Should have been 3 runs. He had to be pleased with the way he pitched, all told. Check swing. Bill Clark. And he personally tags the man out. 1 away. See what Bruce Hurst did tonight. A lot of walks. Was in trouble a lot, but got out of it most of the time. Kept his club in the game until the ball sailed over Hulse's head after he misjudged it. And then James Hurst gave up the long home run to Griffey in the 7th inning that busted it wide open. Saltkeld went 5 innings for the Mariners, but didn't seem to be quite right there at the end. I don't know if he's hurt or not. We never got a report about it. They took him out after only 5 shutout innings. It's his game to win. Nelson, Plantenberg, Gossage, and Ayala have also worked. Felix Fermin, the hitter.
Saltkeld pitched very well. He did what they wanted him to do, as to hold him while they took the lead.
That's just foul.
Well, it actually fouled off of Fermin at the plate.
Well, he tried to convince him that, but Kraft didn't buy it.
No.
Kraft didn't signal foul till the ball was picked up by the 3rd baseman.
I don't think it hit him either.
Ouch, ouch. Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, Fermin was trying to get another swing there.
Man, it's killing me. 0-2 the count to Felix. Well, that one almost did hit him. That came closer than the foul ball. 1-2 the count. Fermin hitting .328 for the year. And he's been hitting, 260, 270 these last few years. He never used to hit. Went to Cleveland, and the more he played, the more he hit there. High in the air. There's Greer. Out number 2. Felix Fermin going for the Oscars, I think, here, Joe.
Well, this ball here is hit, and it's hit way in front of his foot.
Yeah. Uh-oh, it might get caught. Oh, ouch, it hurts, it hurts. Oh, man, I may not walk again. Get me a medic, please. There's a curveball, and that is ball 1. I just hope that some people from Hollywood were watching tonight, Joe. Although I guess it's not that great acting if nobody bought it. One of the umpires that believed him, and then he's a great actor. 1 ball, 1 strike to Hasselman. It was Hasselman who hit the triple. And the misjudged play by House. Seattle Mariners leading 7-2 with a win. They will move into sole possession of first in the American League West, which is not to say that their record would warrant that. The pitch is low and outside.
But I think they're on the upswing, John. That, they've played very well. If they win tonight, they will have swept the Rangers. And, I mean, they're starting to play like Lou Piniella feels that this team is capable of playing. And, again, I think it all goes back to defense. If they play well defensively, then they're going to continue to play and win some ball games. And it's surprising to me that you play on AstroTurf that you would have as many errors as the Mariners Mariners have so far this season.
They have been hurting themselves badly, self-destructing early this year with defensive problems. 3-2. Well, I guess 2 to get it going against the Rangers like this. I mean, the Rangers, if you're the Mariners, the Rangers are the team to beat. To move into first is great, but to do it also by knocking off the Rangers 4 in a row is even bigger. Into left center field. Nobody's out there. Hasselman will pull up at second. He follows his triple with a double. And has come out of that 0 for 16 slump in style.
Well, the one thing that Honeycutt tries to do is keep the ball down. This pitch is a little below the belt and not a good spot for a sinker ball pitcher. And Hasselman finds a gap in left center field. And as John mentioned, he is out of his slump. At least he hopes so.
Yeah, and he still would have been hitless had it not been for the misjudged fly ball. Now he comes up, and he's just clobbering the ball. Renewed vigor. He's confident up there. Here's Amaral. Base hit. Greer. And not even close, and down to second base is Amaral.
Jumps on the first pitch, which is another fastball a little below the belt, lines it into left field. The throw to the plate by Greer is not even going to be making a close play. I don't know why they didn't cut it off and take Soho going down to second base. Now watch, you should cut this ball off and take the runner at second. But they did not, and the run scored, and the runner went to second.
So it goes for the Rangers. Soho 2 for 4 with a home run tonight. 8-2 Seattle, and they're starting to bust it wide open and make it a rout again. They've scored 40 runs in these last 3 games against the Rangers. 1 ball and 1 strike now to Soho. They got 19 runs here. I mean, look at what's happened here. They won 19-2 Friday. They won 13-2 last night, and now they are leading the Rangers 8-2 tonight. It is very rare that any team gets hammered that badly in 3 games by one team. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Soho. Griffey would be next. 2 down. Sports Center coming up. Nigel Mansell, a conversation with him, the Knicks and the Bulls, the Leafs and the Canucks, and all of the games in baseball today and tonight. Up and away. 2-2 now to Soho. Crowd really wants to see Griffey bat one more time before they go home.
I would like to see him bat one more time before I go home, too.
See, he's playing in Oakland tomorrow. I may just have to go down there. What, are you busy tomorrow, Joe?
Yeah, I've got a game tomorrow.
Oh, Joe. He struck him out. Slider over the outside. Top of the order for the Rangers. They're down by 6. Holtz, Fry, Canseco, maybe Clark. It is 8-2. Texas leading now, and Ken Griffey Jr. setting the baseball world afire. Last Sunday, after homering the day before, he went deep here at the Kingdome, but then he suffered a hyperextended knee. They wondered if he'd play. Monday came back as the DH, though. Boom! Out of the park. Another home run for Griffey. Then Wednesday, he went once. Upper tank. He went twice Wednesday. Then Friday, number 18 against Texas. Last night, number 19. And then tonight, number 20 for Ken Griffey Jr. Meanwhile, back to action here. David Holtz, first ball swinging, is beaten out an infield hit. The ball gloved by Soho, the second baseman, in shallow right, but he was not able to get the swift Holtz, who gets his first hit of the game. Flurry of home runs. What a week for Ken Griffey. The last 9 days, in fact. with 8 home runs, and you just saw the last 7 of them.
And you talk about, you know, pretty swings, or that was just, he just has such great balance. I think that's one of the keys. And he's very strong and has a very quick bat. He's swinging 31-ounce bat.
This is Jeff Fry. He's 1 for 3 with a walk. Now on deck is Canseco. After him, Clark. So if the Rangers can get Fry aboard here, they got a chance at least to shake things up a little bit. And that is in there for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Rangers are heading for Kansas City. They've got nothing but problems right now. Their closer, Tom Henke, his back is stiff. They'll learn by Tuesday whether or not they have to place him on the disabled list or not. They've only used him once in these last 10 days or so. And Roger Pavlik is not yet rounded into shape. He's being counted upon to be their 3rd starter. Gonzalez got hurt tonight with a bruised shin and bruised, what was it, a thigh and elbow?
Thigh and shin.
Thigh and shin, yeah. Although they say it's not serious, he should be back Tuesday when they get to Kansas City. That's too long. So a walk, and now the Rangers have a couple of men on for Canseco with Clark right behind him. But remember, not Gonzalez because of that collision we showed you a little while ago, which occurred in the very first inning. Ayala and the catcher, Hasselman, talking it over in secret. Look at Ayala. He's got the glove up there. This is big stuff. They can't allow, you know, they don't want anybody reading lips. There's some bullpen activity now. It's Risley warming up for the Mariners. 8-2 the score. Here's Canseco. He has struck out 3 times tonight, but also has a double and a run scored. A strike, and it's 0-1. Pulse at second. Fry at first. Nobody out. 8-2 the Mariners. 3 outs away from moving into first place in their 42nd game of the year. And it's a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Mariners also getting some strong pitching for the 3rd straight night. Holding the Rangers to only 2 runs so far tonight and in each of the last 3 nights. Down and away, 2-1 to Canseco.
Well, John, you mentioned Canseco has struck out 3 times tonight, but they've made some good pitches on him, and they've made some tough pitches. And him being a free swinger, he swung at a few pitches that were out of his zone. That one was not. And you can see him shaking his head on that pitch. That pitch was a pitch that he should have hit, he felt like.
See, Canseco has just been extraordinary this year when he's had a runner at second or third or both, hitting .447 in those RBI situations.
Well, the entire Texas team has hit well with men in scoring position.
Struck him out!
Well, he had a good pitch to hit the pitch before, and now Ayala makes a good pitch on the outside part of the plate. And here's the splitter. The split-fingered fastball sinks down and away, and Canseco can't handle it.
Yeah, that pitch is murder, isn't it?
Yes, but he had a pitch to hit the pitch before, and that's why he was shaking his head. Can't miss those.
Will Clark now, a strike. Clark is popped to short, lined to second. Twice he has walked. Hitting .374 at the moment. He's got a chance to pad his RBI total here. He's got 38 as it is. The forkball with a split finger. Quickly, it's 0-2. Ayala has faced 9 hitters since he came into the game in the 8th inning. He's given up 2 hits. He's issued 3 walks, and he has 4 strikeouts. 1-2. Everybody he's retired, he has struck out. For the season now, he has 30 strikeouts in 20 innings.
Either a strikeout or a walk, huh?
30 in 20. That's, Joe, I'm going to go out on a limb, Joe. I'm going to say that's pretty good. And number 31. Another one bites the dust. Yeah, the sweep. The Mariners are 1 out away from sweeping the Rangers.
Well, this is another split-fingered fastball, and this is his 5th strikeout since coming on. That ball just drops down and away from Will Clark. The speed is what really fools him, not so much the movement away from him, but the speed. He was way out in front.
Strike 1 to Chris James. These two teams will not face each other again until June 13th when they meet in Texas. The Rangers come back here August the 8th. The Rangers will have a 4-game advantage over them before they next face them in a head-to-head competition. Each, I'm sure, looks at the other as the team to beat in the division. And right now, the Mariners are beating the Rangers badly again. First place is 1 strike away. The Mariners have never been in first place as late as 42 games into a season ever. Too high. James 0 for 2 hitting in Gonzalez place here. He entered in the 4th inning for Gonzalez. That's foul. Twelve home runs in the last 3 games for Seattle. And they will go to Oakland on a roll. The Athletics, of course, are anything but on a roll. They are getting clobbered every day. Got a piece of it again. And Oakland is 4-27, Joe, since starting at 7-5.
And that is amazing because they were in first place at one time during the season and were playing pretty well. Looked like they may have been the team to beat in the West. But it's a long season.
Belongs to the Seattle Mariners. They have swept a 4-game series from the Texas Rangers. Seattle up top by a half game over both California and Texas. The Rangers head for Kansas City. The Mariners head for Oakland. And Ken Griffey a step closer to the Hall of Fame. Tonight, his career 152nd homer. He's even tied his dad in career home runs. We'll see you next Sunday at Minnesota, Cecil Fielder and the Tigers. Kirby Puckett and the Twins, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Sports Center is next. John Miller and Joe Morgan. Good night, everyone.